Hey, tea sippers. Hey, tea sippers. Afternoon. Afternoon. What's happening? Y'all come on in. Come on in. I am slow motion. That's my god brother's bike name. Um, Slow motion. Baby, when I tell y'all, hey, purple flower, I am moving in slow motion. That all-nighter, Saturday night into Sunday morning, I think I got off about 5 something, almost 6, I think. I don't remember. But baby, that took the wind out of me. I couldn't do nothing yesterday. I barely ate. And what I ate really wasn't a meal. I don't even know what that was, but baby. Hey, Spec, I'm gonna tell you who made me get up. You made me get up, Specs Don. When you left me that comment, I said, dang, God dang. Where was he at the other day? Baby. Woo-wee. Where was you at? I was up at 5, almost 6 o'clock. That live was, well, Friday. I hope you went back and checked it. Both of them. I'm gonna my tea. It's like, dang. And I think in the live, I said, where is Specs? And don't ask me what you missed, because I don't remember. I was passed out yesterday. But I do know it was good. And I was attempting to continue with Candace in the firewall stuff. Firewall. I caught the replay. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, man. That took me out yesterday. I couldn't move. I was exhausted. So listen, I know I missed a bunch yesterday. I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to catch up. I got a live set up for after this. It's a lot going on, man. But I wanted to touch bases on this protest. I'm kind of beginning to believe that it's staged, y'all. I am kind of believing it's staged because it's a lot going on behind the scenes, and it's to deter us, not just the Epstein, but that too, along with judicial procedures, courts, appeals denied, properties being seized, possible arrest. And as I was trying to, I'm going to tell y'all, I am really slow. I am slow moving because one of the comments they said, but it's not in the news. The possible impeachment and the court proceedings that's going on. And the way that they are mixing it, I had to process it, so I guess I needed a day of rest to process it. He'll try again. Yeah. And so, when I read that comment, and I'm saying to myself, they don't want it in the news. They don't want it in the news, and if they are trying to control what's going in the news and freedom of speech, then it's almost like it's intentional. And then when I am listening to the voices that I believe, and they're talking about the court proceedings, they will make it sound as if it's old news because they will say former president. So then it clicked to me. They have to say former president. First of all, the charges that they are speaking of were when he was not the president. And two, if they say current president, then the news media will be possibly hit with lawsuits. So it's easier to just reference it as former with current information than saying current President Trump. So it is more of a deflection or controlling their narrative to keep the business safe. Because if you listen to them, they are speaking of 24, 25, and then 26. There is no way that they can be bringing up about old news and bringing up 2026. Hell, we only 11 days in 2026, right? So that means that the message is current. The cases are old. And the cases are when he was out of office, put out, because he didn't want to walk out. Y'all follow me? So I had to process that. Why are they saying former? Why are they saying former president? Why are they? Because if they say current president, that's a whole nother legal ball game and a whole nother BBC $50 million lawsuit. So it's just a way to protect themselves. I said, okay, I got it. I got it. So I'm going to start. I just wanted to touch bases with that before I forget. And just in case somebody kind of brings it up on the cool again, because I had to put some people out. We don't want to hear that. We put that other lady. You don't want nothing over here. Lady, do I know you? Are you a guest? Or are you a tea sipper? I mean, what are we doing? But anyway, I wanted to touch bases with that before I move forward. What's going on? Oh, boyfriend to come live. I got a couple of, and then let me say this before I forget. I want to hear what he say, but I want the music to stick. Another reason why I'm thinking it may be staged, because when I went into research, hold on, let me put my screen up. Research a little of this Ross guy. Him. I think it's Jonathan Ross. His kinfolk. Like who are you? Who your mama and them? You know how I am. Who your daddy and them? Where you come from? Who are you? Who are you? Where did you come from? It's the second time you done been pulled into some stuff. Drag. You're seasoned. Where you come from? And as I was researching a little bit, because this came up and it gave its name. And so, you know, Auntie Fee. How do I get out of here? I went to looking. And then I see his daddy is an actor. TV, here we go again. TV comedian type cat. I said, oh shit, him. It's like, Auntie P, how you know it's his daddy? Well, hell, look at that nose. Look at the nose. That's his daddy. That's his daddy. That's the same nose. So I'm saying, okay. And his mama an actress too? I said, oh shit, here we go again. Here we go again. Here we go again. And then when I go to see what his kid's name is, it say he got 3 kids, but don't list the name. I said, okay. Jonathan Rout Show. I said, Lord, this is beginning to sound familiar. And he looked like he was a female or something before. So I didn't go deep dive off into the daddy. Yeah, that's your, yeah. But eventually I will. Y'all do know that, right? Eventually I will be deep diving into the daddy, the family, the roots. And I'm going to tell you why, because one of these articles, I want to know if it shows this cat. I said, oh shit, here we go. Here we go. He the pappy. His wife is from the Philippines. And his stepmama or his mama, I don't know which one is for sure. She an actress, and I think she from over there. British. I said, okay, here we go. Here we go. It's always some form of connection. Yeah, there she go. So I said, okay, so I want us to understand that the daddy has that IMD. He is an actor. So I'm like, is this shit staged? Did we just go through this? Didn't we not just go through this? Hell, he looked like a comedian. Didn't we just go through this with some? There was some show. Oh, that lady where I get that dark news from. She was saying that Maduro and both Trump, we know Trump has that IMBD, whatever that is, but Maduro do too. And it's looking like a lot of this shit is staged with actors, family. Either it is the Angelica, they're tied, all tied, or cavalry, churches, or politically tied. Hit the like button. Yeah. So this is the daddy. The Jonathan Ross Show. And his son is the one who shot and killed, allegedly. I still ain't seen no blood. I'm just trying to understand from Mo 3 to Dolph, what's going on now. Why do we not see blood no more? I'm talking about on the scene. I'm not talking about, they just didn't show no blood. I'm talking about on the scene. Why? We ain't see not one drop of blood on that ice in Minnesota. Why? How does that happen? Huh? Yeah, no. I'm not buying that right now. Why is there no ice? No blood on the ice. So hold on, let me move on, because there's some protesting going on. Oh, hold on, let's look at this. Let's start right here. Let's see what it is.
Join Genesis Health Clubs for $0 today.
I be trying to connect dots. Hold on.
Train
films are a real demographic sort. Like if you're at a bar mitzvah and someone's grandmother is coming
Donald
towards you,
Trump to
it's
star
not
in
gonna be quite
America history.
it will be like, you know,
This is
Keeping
the
Faith or
Jonathan Ross show.
something like that.
Fight Club was an amazing film. I think in that sequence we saw at the top there, the punches thrown were for real. You actually connected with Brad Pitt with that right hook then.
David Fincher
This is
came up to
the
me right
shooter's
before we
daddy,
did
not
this
him, the
search
other
in
cat.
here.
Hold on.
And I, they've been friends a long time, and I figured I'm going to trust him. I didn't connect hard, but I
Still, yeah, that
But
hurts.
it's a nice. He says it. It's a nice surprise. It's
Yeah.
a nice surprise. But my abiding memory of making that film was laughing, because Brad is funny, Fincher's very funny, Helena's a riot.
Helena Bonham Carter, of course.
Yeah.
And Meatloaf is tremendous in that movie.
It was great fun.
What do you look for in a role then? When you play a part in a character like American History X, I don't know how many of you have seen it, but it's a tough film. It's a tough film to watch, and it's a difficult subject to
That's
approach.
the shooter's daddy.
What excites you about giving a big chunk of your life to bringing that to the screen?
Well, we had the idea that it was sort of Othello or Macbeth, that we wanted to approach it like a Greek tragedy, and we wanted to look at rage. We wanted to look at anger, and what's weird is to have worked on it and felt that this culture of rage-filled white supremacy was pretty fringe. It was pretty
White
marginal.
supremacy.
And now, if we made the film, you'd have to wear khakis and a button-down shirt.
Now it's center stage.
It's so
yeah.
mainstream. It's so shocking to find these, people espousing the same stuff in a more mainstream way, which is sort of appalling.
People, including people right at the very top of
Yeah.
the power structure in America.
This is the shooter's daddy. This is Jonathan Ross Sr. You understand? This is Jonathan Ross Sr. He had his own news show. I don't know his political stance just yet. Donald Trump to star in American X 2. Yeah, I'm not sure. But this is his daddy.
Yes. American History X2 with a comb over and a...
That'd be a challenge even for you to play, I bet you, wouldn't it?
Comb over. You gotta be talking about Trump, huh? A comb over? Oh, yeah.
At the very top of
Yeah.
the power structure in America.
Yes. American History X2 with a people espousing the same stuff in a more mainstream way, which is sort of appalling.
People, including people right at the very top of
Yeah.
the power structure in America.
Yes. American History X2 with a comb over and a...
That'd be a challenge even for you to play, I bet you, wouldn't it?
So Trump was supposed to.
Rage-filled white supremacy
White
was pretty
supremacy.
fringe. It was pretty marginal. And
what's
now,
this?
if we made the film, you'd have to wear khakis and a button-down shirt.
Now it's center stage.
It's so
yeah.
mainstream. It's so shocking to find these, people espousing the same stuff in a more mainstream way, which is sort of appalling.
People, including people right at the very top of
Yeah.
the power structure in America.
Yes. American History X2 with a comb over and a...
That'd be a challenge even for you to play, I bet you, wouldn't it?
Let me get out of this. I don't even know where it's at. Hold on. They had plans. Hold on. No, I'm not ready for that.
Granger knows that as the procurement
I can't
coordinator
find
at a
it.
manufacturing plant, you can count on auto reordering.
I can't find it.
You need
Oh, here it
more.
is. Hold on. Yeah, so that was that plan. Okay, let me get to the protest so I can move on forward. Move on. And then get this out the way. Hold on. Because there's some more stuff we got to talk about. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's hear this protest stuff. Let's go.
They're under violent attack or something of
Hit
that
the like
nature,
button.
not because they need help. picking somebody up under doing just strictly civil immigration enforcement.
It's a conflict of emotions that have been going on for a long time as we've listened to the media, what's happening in all the cities around us, and now it's come to our door. And I think that one of the big issues is just lack of communication from the authorities when something like this happens, so that
Hey, Big L.
we could have a better handle and be better prepared to educate our residents. And I appreciate authorities doing their job, but I also appreciate the people who have
Mass shootings
who are
and
at this
ooh.
point, they're just frightened. And when you handle things the way that this appears to be handled, it's not a surprise that chaos would follow.
ICE, it is ICE the new KKK? Ed Ross is his father, not the dude from UK. KKK.
You are not welcome here.
KKK. Crazy. Crazy. Hold on. It's crazy. You know, and you know what's funny when you think about it? They was quick to kill or will unalive that lady. And now it's like it's staged. Hold on. And they having a protest and they're allowing it to be peaceful.
10 British and French agents were reportedly killed.
Why wasn't
in a
it
missile strike,
peaceful
which
that
the
day?
British and French governments have still yet to acknowledge. Missiles at Iran, which will be
George Galloway.
Iran is already at war under the invasion of Mossad agents and the open threat in the last hour that America is going to start missile strikes against the Islamic Republic of Iran. Cuba is being openly threatened with war. Anyone old enough will
I make that
remember
one.
when
That
that
shit they
happened before.
doing
Colombia,
illegal. Yeah,
openly threatened
I
by war.
swear.
And
They
it's all
better not
started to go
approach
wrong for
me like
Donald
that.
Trump
It's
in Venezuela. It's all coming up here tonight, live from Kuala Lumpur,
That's
capital
exactly
of
what they
Malaysia,
are. The new
part
KKK,
of the
a bunch of
rising
punks
new
hiding their
world.
faces.
It's the mother
Absolutely.
of all talk
Yes,
shows.
sir.
Stay tuned.
Curious about our curriculum? Have something to say? Then call us now to join the debate on the mother of all.
Erstwhile British ambassador to Washington, D.C., didn't see nothing, Gov, when he was a ultra-frequent
Thank you
visitor
for your
to the
service, King.
residences
I
and
agree,
indeed
Specs.
the
Thank you, Big
islands
L.
of Jeffrey Epstein. He kept young girls away from
Because this is all the
Lord
reason
Manderson
why
because
this going
I'm
on right
gay,
now.
even though photographs exist of Peter Mandelson and Jeffrey Epstein in the close company of the said nubile, underclad young ladies. But there are far more important issues to discuss this evening. First of all, Donald Trump has just said that he is preparing and ready for missile strikes against Iran. He simply can't stand to see the treatment of violent protesters in the streets of Tehran, you see. He cannot bear women being manhandled, though he entirely and resolutely backed the cold-blooded murder of Renee Good in Minneapolis, a young woman driving away from a school at which she had just dropped her 6-year-old child. He was perfectly happy to see Renee have 3 bullets pumped into her face by an ICE agent from a force which is now an occupation force in the United States of America. A personal Gestapo, a personal brown shirt army in beholden to Donald Trump rather than the United States, and definitely not beholden to its constitution. He's going to start firing missiles at Iran, which will be the start of a very big war. Bigly, Donald, do you understand? Because I'll coin a phrase, Iran is locked and ready to fight your satraps in the area and to fight your bastard child of Israel. So that's the first of tonight's topics, but there are so many more. You probably heard that Nicolas Maduro, the president of Venezuela, had to ask to see the prison doctor this morning because he had strained his stomach muscles laughing at the debacle in the White House, where just before getting up to take a walk and look through the window at a non-existent opera house or whatever monstrous carbuncle Donald Trump is constructing in what was the east wing of the distinguished old lady, the White House on Pennsylvania Avenue, he begged the oil companies in
I'm not
whose
sure if
name
this is
he had
but thank you for
invaded
the
Venezuela, murdered 100 people, and captured
Cash
the
App.
president of the republic and
It
his
may be
wife.
old. I may just
The oil
not
companies told him to go
open it
and
up.
take a hike.
But thank you.
The head of one of the main oil companies said
LW.
that Venezuela was uninvestable. It was simply not worth the
We got to
hundreds
understand
of
why
billions
this
of dollars
government is
that would be
allowing these
required.
criminal
Donald
thugs,
Trump
ICE, to
seemed
run
crestfallen. I saw
unhinged
that
in our
fake crest
streets.
of his
They want us
actually
to act
falling,
out so they
revealing
can
that which
implement
he
martial
had
law. Oh,
hitherto
absolutely.
hidden.
They want us to
He
respond.
had described himself Venezuelan oil when he
Absolutely.
forced the American oil companies
They want us to
into
take the
leaving
bait.
Venezuela by the sanctions that he imposed in 2019. But such is the level of his advancing senility, his dementia, which is now clearly visible to anyone with eyes, just as much as Joe Biden's was clearly visible. He had forgotten the circumstances in which these oil companies were, as he put it, forced out of Venezuela. They had to remind him that they were forced out of Venezuela, not by Maduro, but by Donald Trump. But he had earlier described Venezuelan oil as
Hey,
so bad
Denise.
as not even worthy of laying on roads. Terrible oil, he said, like tar. Now he's telling us that the oil companies have to invest hundreds of billions into renovating the Venezuelan oil industry so what? That he can lay it on roads as tar macadam. Now, tar macadam is a very cheap product. It's a lot cheaper than renovating the Venezuelan oil company, particularly as the Venezuelans are on the march. There has been no regime change in Venezuela. The Chavista movement is in ironclad control of the country. Intelligence officers, military officers, and even some political figures are now being arrested in Caracas for their role in the treason, the treachery that saw Nicolas Maduro kidnapped, illegally rendered to the United States and thrown into a dungeon where I do hope he doesn't end up being Epsteined. But the alternative to Epsteining him is to have him standing tall
Epstein.
astride a New York courtroom, placing Donald Trump on trial. That's the second of the issues that I intend to deal with tonight. But there are so many more.
See,
Maduro
so when I hear people say, well, why is it not in the news yet? They don't want it in the news. But it's definitely going on, court hearings and him being there. He getting into it with the judges. I mean, it may be a replay from something that's happened before, but it's absolutely going on now. And he really is pissed that his properties are being seized. Absolutely. Trump Towers, the one with all the gaudy gold, and another property. So don't ask me why you're not hearing it in the news. Ask the news people why they not talking about it. And it may be in fear of lawsuits. Or, they may have been contacted and asked to hold off talking about it. But one thing is for sure, that when the one with the Bill Clinton talking, he said that you will hear about it in the next week or so. That's when everybody's going to be talking about it. So it's like, okay, now why did he say that? Like, did he know that it was going to, that like it's been paused for discussion? And then it's something, I think I have it lined up about, I'm going to wait. I just don't want to forget. Please don't let me forget about something I saw about Secret Service. Because let me say, I would think that they would have to come up with a plan of who would be a part of, if FBI, he has FBI, Department of Defense under his wing. And yes, they are speaking on impeaching them as well. But until then, who would be enforcing a takeover of Trump? So I saw something that said something about Secret Service, because someone other than who he has under his wing has to be positioning themselves to do something that has never been done before. Can't continue to allow it to go on, putting the U.S. in jeopardy like that, when it's obvious what he's doing, and he's doing it on purpose. And it's obvious he has people who was pushing or part of the team, or they had a whole little. Now I'm seeing there's some beef with him in Israel. I'm seeing no more money being sent to Israel. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. It's too much going on. No more funding Israel. What? What? A lot of deflection from the Epstein files, but baby, baby. I will say the one that's coming up. I'm going to talk about folks requesting Epstein autopsies. And if they talking about autopsies on I don't know, this is Hollywood, so they can do anything if they want to. If they can trick us into saying that the man was on the moon and make us think that he was because he bouncing up and down like he on the moon, they Hollywood. That's why I want us to stay focused with that as well. You know, it's like this Jonathan Ross, you know, with this. It didn't say a Screen Actors Guild, but, you know, it's a lot of Hollywooding going on. So we going to stay woke. I'm going to continue to hear what he's saying for a little bit, and I'm going to move on.
Illegally rendered to the United States and thrown into a dungeon where I do hope he doesn't end up being Epsteined. But the alternative to Epsteining him is to have him standing tall astride a New York courtroom, placing Donald Trump on trial. That's the second of the issues that I intend to deal with.
It's most
tonight.
definitely
But
coming.
There are so many more. I'm racing quickly ahead. Just because you land a boat somewhere 500 years ago doesn't mean you own the land, said the President of the United States of America, which came into being when white European settlers landed a boat on it even less than 500 years
Making
ago.
America great again.
Sitting Bull
Stealing
and
land.
Geronimo say, hello, Donald, hello. Your presence in our land is not legitimate just because your ancestors landed a boat on it 400 or so years ago. And this from a president who insists that because a book written by themselves claimed that
Who
God
says Central
promised
Casting
them
a lot?
the land of
Dora.
Palestine 3,000 years ago, that particular land
Central
claim is
Casting.
not just legitimate, but is inviolate. The situation between Russia and the United States has deteriorated sharply.
Black on America,
with,
damn it.
measure
Give us
that
our money.
may very
Yeah,
well
we
chill
discovered
any
it.
possibility to freezing
okay.
point as it is
Interesting.
in Moscow. Freezing point in relations between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. It is the case that the Americans have more or less admitted, in any case it cannot be denied, their involvement in the Ukrainian attempt to assassinate President Vladimir Putin at his residence near Sochi. This attack, which would have caused, of course, World War III, nuclear World War III, this incident was reportedly one that shocked Donald Trump when he was told about it by Putin himself. But if it shocked him, it could not have surprised him, because the Ukrainians could not have launched the attack without the active complicity of Britain and the United States.
Trump
but
playing
were
everybody.
undoubtedly involved in the targeting of it.
Let's
The
be
matter
clear.
of any
Trump is playing everybody. He playing he playing everybody. He making deals all the way around the table. And I don't know what make him think that they're not gonna come up against him at some point and take his ass out. I know that they know that he playing all corners. And the sad part about it, who gonna catch his ass slipping? Probably gonna be China. And if it's China, that means we all in trouble for real. No loyalty among thieves. You are so absolutely right, Denise. There is no loyalty among thieves. He's the white hat. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what MAGA is, the white hat. And who is, you know, how I want to say it, who is reincarnating it, bringing it back, is also Trump. MAGA. So when you think about making America great again, it will be the white hats. It will be the stealing of land, right? The riots, you know. Now, I don't know if he thought it was going to be the darker shades of the 50 Shades of Brown, you know, because I know he's shocked that we are not reacting. Well, I've done a lot for black people. Oh, okay, so why you saying that? You thought we was gonna be in an uproar? You thought that January 6th, when y'all laid what? Bricks out, guns, they for rioting, you thought that y'all had set it up. We gonna, the same way we put cocaine on the streets, same way we put, you know, this, that, and the other on the streets for them to use the what was it? A box car. You know, they gonna steal, they gonna grab it. Yeah, they gonna loot. No, we didn't. Oh no, we didn't take the bait. You thought we was gonna riot with Charlie Kirk when you said he's Martin Luther King? No, the real pastors, you know, made a statement. We made our statement, but we didn't riot. I mean, because at this point, why? We know we better than. Why else would y'all have a continuous attack on us? We gotta be a threat. Why else are we always a factor when we don't have shit to do with what y'all got going on? Black people, okay, we chilling right now. That's the problem. Y'all are chilling and y'all are making money and y'all are not the first on the list for the desperate and the hungry and the deprived. Yeah, you thought that. You thought that with EBT, and what happened? Oh, we wasn't number one. Hell, was we even number two? They are eating good. Yeah. We got to put a stop to this. Okay. And we still ain't riding? Yeah, okay. I don't know who's the mastermind behind this, but we are not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. I just want us to be clear with that. Y'all double tap the face of your screen. I know I'm 43 minutes in, but still double tap. It's 177 in here now with only 33 likes. Get the likes up. Double tap. Or hit the three dots at the top corner right. Let's go.
Ineluctable logic. But the fact that the United States was prepared to lie about its ignorance of this assassination attempt is now an established fact in Moscow. Trump failed a trust test which will not be easily recovered. If he was prepared to
So he was trying to take out Putin.
nothing about this drone attack when a swarm of Ukrainian drones...
Speaking of drone attack, Lord, I'm gonna have to go there. I'm gonna go into it on the next live. Let's go.
was intercepted right above President Putin himself, then they're prepared to lie about everything. Some of us have always stated that they completely failed in their attempt in the Anchorage summit, in the spirit of Alaska, to live up to the commitments that they made in those talks.
Let me say this. let me say this. I want to say it, but I don't want to say it. Let's not rule out a drone attack on Charlie Kirk. Let's not rule it out. Tiffy, huh? Let us not rule it out. Which make more sense than anything with that, what's the little boy that ran? He moved and wouldn't stop walking. Mikey McCoy. The phone in his hand and he confusion on who he called first. Yeah, please let us not rule out a drone attack, because I remember I said recently, I wouldn't be surprised if his phone, it's because it's as if something happened with his phone that was already in his hand, and soon as the shot went off, he turned and walked and never stopped. And it was something about that movement. Could he have pushed the button and made the drone shoot? Yeah, we gonna tap into that, y'all. Don't forget, you heard it here, that there is a possibility that it was a drone. Now that we're hearing that there was a drone attempt on Putin. There was a drone attempt on Putin. Hold on. Hold on. Let me go over here. Hold on. Scorching hot. Yeah. Yeah. Drone attempt. Drone. Hold on. Where is it at? Wow. Is this it? No. Hold on, let me design it. Lord, where is it at? They have a whole, yep. It's a whole lot going on, y'all. Where is it at? Don't be surprised. I'm trying to find it. Is it this? No. Let me look for it. Let's keep going, and I'll look for it on another device. Drones. And if that's the case, then it may have possibly hit his necklace. But Mikey McCoy, yeah, and his phone device, that there was no, remember, there was no buttons pushed. And he said he made a call to his mama, his Erica, his wife, all that there. His daddy. Yeah. Let's go. Stay woke.
Some of us never believed that they would.
They mad at Putin because he's helping Africa.
That they would. So the war will drag on, and it will drag on now. It's
drowning
almost
right now
certain
without Africa.
to a military conclusion. and the Russians have already decided. This week they launched 2 completely undefendable Orishnik missiles that traveled so fast nobody could even see them coming in. No radar, no anti-missile defense, nothing can stop the Orishnik missile from hitting its target. The Russians this time did not put a nuclear warhead on the Orishnik, but if they did, it would devastate Western capitals before it was even detected. Before it was even detected. And some European capitals are at very much greater risk than others. The hideous dogs of war in London and Paris in particular are cruising for a particular bruising. Britain and France have again stated that they are prepared and ready to land their own armed forces in the western part of Ukraine, even though Russia has told them that this would be an act of war. Even though Russia has told them that our soldiers would be legitimate targets and would be targeted. And there's only going to be 7,000 of them from each of the 2 countries, so 14,000. A kind of charge of the Light Brigade of the Crimean War vintage is deliberately being placed in harm's way by the 2 most unpopular Western leaders there have ever been. I need to stress that to our American audience. Keir Starmer's disapproval is now 66%. His approval rate is 11%. He's the most hated leader Britain has ever had in its entire history. And the French president is on 12%. So between the 2 of them, they scarcely breach 20% approval between both leaders in London and Paris. And in an attempt to get the public to look over there, they keep returning like a dog to its vomit to their plan to put their own forces in harm's way, extreme harm's way, in the Ukraine war. Both countries are involved with secret forces. Both countries have their secret services more or less permanently installed now inside the remnants of Zelensky's rump Kiev regime, but not for much longer. In Odessa this week, 10 British and French agents were reportedly killed in a missile strike, which the British and French governments have still yet to acknowledge. Because they'd have to explain why these agents were there, without any parliamentary approval, without any public support, and without any transparency.
Y'all hit the like button, please.
Any kind. So the war in Ukraine is now about to heat up, despite the below zero temperatures. People of my age remember the Cuban Missile Crisis. And when Donald Trump declared again today, how many declarations a day of war is he prepared to make? He declared that no oil and no money will reach Cuba. Negotiate, he says, or face the consequences. The president of Cuba replied that the Cubans will fight America to the last drop of blood. And boy, I'm here to assure you that they mean it. There are 1 million members of the Cuban Communist Party, every one of them armed to the teeth, who will die on their homeland rather than see it fall into the hands of the gangsters who would return the gold-toothed emigres, of whom Marco Rubio is one, who treated Cuba as a bordello, as a casino, as a playground for the mafia, in the living memory of many people still alive in Cuba, because of course in Cuba you live much longer than you do in the United States of America. In Cuba, of course, your children are much more likely to survive infancy than they are in the United States of America. The Cuban Revolution will never be defeated except in the blood of 1 million or more of their compatriots. And Donald Trump would be wise to imagine it. In Washington, there's speculation that Marco Rubio Yes, the Secretary of State of the United States of America will be the president of Cuba. I'm not making that up. Reported by Axios,
What?
I think, in the last few hours. Everything is being reported in the last few hours. But the reality is that the Europeans are preparing for war. They're preparing to garrison the island of Greenland. Donald Trump has moved into hyperactivity. According to the main newspaper in Britain, the biggest selling newspaper, the Mail on Sunday, on its front page this very day, Trump has ordered the Pentagon to prepare a plan for the invasion of the sovereign territory of its most obeisant ally, Denmark. Never mind Nicolas Maduro straining his stomach muscles with laughter. I'm doing the same over Greenland. It won't be long before you hear that the narco-terrorist Eskimos on Greenland are preparing to acquire nuclear and chemical and biological warfare, and that the supporters of American democracy in Greenland, who are precious few, only 15% of the Greenland Eskimos want to be part of the United States. In any case, the supporters of American-style democracy are currently being tortured in underground prisons, and the United States simply has to come to their rescue. As I've said to you before, nothing would make me happier than to see NATO break apart. Nothing would make me happier than to see the European Union collapse in ignominy. A country like Canada describing today China as their number one adversary in the world, when the President of the United States is openly threatening to annex a crown dependency, if that's what it's still called. Heaven help them if they're dependent on King Charles III. But a Commonwealth country is being openly threatened with being turned into the 51st state of the United States by force, if necessary, as China responded in response to the Canadian designation of China as their number one enemy. They said, and yet we have not even once threatened to annex Canada and make it our 34th province. Well, the world is your oyster tonight, and Pepe Escobar is the best man in the world to talk about such a set of cascading global crises. Stay tuned. Pepe Escobar coming up right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Position
While we listening, I'm trying to find another article. Let's go.
of Malaysia, which was standing room only and a pretty magnificent event it was. I hope that you'll get footage from that in due course. Here's the poll for this evening. Should we boycott Trump's World Cup? And which has already banned the supporters and even the players of some of the participating countries from even applying for visas to visit the United States. Should we boycott Trump's World Cup? Well, it's a big, nearly 30,000 already, a big, big poll. Get voting. Should we boycott Trump's World Cup? Yes or no? You can vote on my Telegram channel, t.me/George Galloway, on my X, on the YouTube community poll, on the YouTube stream, or if you're one of the chosen ones, on the patreon.com/George Galloway. You can also vote in that ballot box. It's a pretty dismal result for you, Donny, holder as you are of the FIFA Peace
Okay,
Prize.
here it is.
Now, if you want to call the show, it's toll-free in the United States and Canada, +1 844 944 3344. It's free.
Okay. And I'm going to talk about this, but I'm just going to show you where I'm at with it. And I believe this. Y'all ready to get the likes up? Double tap the face of your screen. Listen with your good ear. Listen with your good ear. I'm going to change this. I'm going to change it to. You know, when I talk about Charlie Kirk, I want us to see Candace, because she is absolutely the reason why this will be solved. Y'all ready? Get the likes up. Double tap the face of your phone if that's the device you're listening to. Listening to the T on. And if you're on your computer, let's hit those three dots at the top right corner and get the likes up.
The name of Andrew Kovacs.
Are y'all ready? Did the lights go up?
There's a guy by the name of Andrew Kovacs. Andrew Kovacs is the executive, one of the executives and the spokesman for Turning Point USA. Now, Kovacs, he basically sends a message to a YouTuber, some random YouTuber. I've never heard of him. This is where it gets weird. The guy gets a message. He wasn't supposed to disclose what Andrew said or what he sent to him. He accidentally discloses this message from Andrew, but the fact that he shows all this showing that Erica Kirk, they're trying to figure out her whereabouts on September 8th. And
get the likes up. Y'all listening with y'all good ear? Are you listening with the good ear? Because this right here makes all the sense in the world. You better hit the like button if you want to get this good tea. Because I can hold it until later. Now that I know where it is. Can I get a witness? Amen. Hit the like button if you coming in here ear hustling for that good old Auntie T. You may want to hit the like button if you want to hear it from me. Baby, 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 baby. We got the tea.
there's a guy by the name of
hold
Andrew
on. I said we got the tea. We'll get on up out of here. Let's go.
Kovacs is the executive, one of the executives and the spokesman for Turning Point USA. Now, Kovacs, he basically sends a message to a YouTuber, some random YouTuber. I've never heard of him. This is where it gets weird. The guy gets a message. He wasn't supposed to disclose what Andrew said or what he sent to him. He accidentally discloses this message from Andrew, but the fact that he shows all this showing that Erica Kirk, they're trying to figure out her whereabouts on September 8th. And there's reports of her being seen at Fort Huachuca. She sends a picture saying, hey, I couldn't have been there because I'm with my kids. Sends a screenshot. Mind you, we've never seen Erica Kirk's kids.
Make believe ass
kids' face, so you can't see their face. We don't know what the kids look like.
Romania
Puts a
angel
finger
ass
over
kids.
the picture and sends it, and this is what Andrew sent to the random YouTuber. So Fort Huachuca, it's the home.
The lights didn't go up. I'll save it for later. I will save it for later. Let's go. Get the likes up. I am not playing. Denise said, Auntie Fee. Thank you, Denise. Denise said, holla, hold up. They need to get up out of here if they don't want to support the tea. This tea ain't free. The hell is wrong with these ear hustlers? Get the likes up. It was just getting good. Auntie Fee played too much. Today is Sunday. Let the Lord use you, Auntie Fee. Give us the tea. Let the Lord use you in a mighty, mighty way. We thirsty for some good old hot tea. What's wrong with you? Let the Lord have his way and tell us what we need to hear. We'll pay you later for some tea today. We'll gladly pay you later for that good old tea today. Jesus said he paid it all. Let us hear what you gotta say. We know it's good, but we want it for free. No. You all freed out. Absolutely not. What I got next coming up? They better get them likes up. I'm an hour and 6 minutes in, and I only got 60 likes. The devil is a lie. The devil is a lie. Yeah. Please don't go. The devil is a lie. Get thee behind me, Satan. You won't have your way today. I'm not playing with you. If you in here ear hustling for free, you will not get the tea. Let me drink my drink. My probiotic lemonade. Yeah, Lord. The like is free, but the tea ain't. Not today. Double tap the face of your screen on your phone device. Get the likes up. When my likes are over 100, I will bring you that good old tea. Look at this fat pig crawling. Always on his knees. Always on. Ever since he ate Bill's pickle. Hell, his ass been on his knees. Get up. Stop crawling for it. Crawling for the D. Crawling for that pickle. Crawling for the D. Fat ass. Caught him on his knees. Nasty ass. Nasty ass. Trashy ass. Hi, Betty. Crawling. Been crawling ever since he's sucking on Bubbles' pickle. Nasty ass. Yeah. You better not make that wig fall off.
Lord, that's you.
Nasty. Animal. You tired yet? You know you're about to expire, and you're gonna take as many people out with you as you can. I done figured your ass out. You know you out of here. Hey, Brian. Okay, well, if you're not, not that we're listening to you. Well, if you're not listening to me while you're here. If you're not listening to me while you're here. I hope you hit the like button. Pig. I like seeing him on his knees. Prowling. Big ass hips. Hips bigger than mine. Wide hip ass. On your knees. Garbage. Garbage. Light still ain't up. Let me go on to something else. They not you. Hold on. Hold on to the T.
Weeks ago, protesters marched out of the rally to attend vigils or accountability for the death of RENEEGOOD, who was shot by an ICE officer in Minneapolis on Wednesday. Organizers have called for a weekend of action. They've called on people to mobilize, to march, to rally, to attend vigils, or participate in other community-based events. This afternoon, protests are scheduled in places like New York City, Dallas, and Tulsa, Oklahoma. People took to the streets yesterday in Los Angeles, in Boston, in Washington, D.C., and of course in Minneapolis, where protests have been ongoing since the shooting. Thousands of protesters marched out in the snow yesterday afternoon in the neighborhood in and around Powderhorn Park. Still more people paid respect to RENEEGOOD during a vigil at the site of the shooting. Minneapolis is currently the prime target of the Trump administration's divisive mass deportation operations, despite like New York City, Dallas, and Tulsa, Oklahoma. People took to the streets yesterday in Los Angeles, in Boston, in Washington, D.C., and of course in Minneapolis, where protests have been ongoing since the shooting. Thousands of protesters marched out in the snow yesterday afternoon in the neighborhood in and around Powderhorn Park. Still more people paid respect to RENEEGOOD during a vigil at the site of the shooting. Minneapolis is currently the prime target of the Trump administration's divisive mass deportation operations. Despite the widespread outcry over the shooting and ICE's aggressive tactics, the Department of Homeland Security has doubled down, both in terms of its operations in Minneapolis and in its campaign to justify the shooting of RENEEGOOD. On X yesterday, the White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, called RENEEGOOD, quote, a leftist insurrectionist, adding to the other terms like domestic terrorist and a deranged leftist that other Trump administration officials have already used. In a little while, I'm going to tell you who RENEEGOOD actually was. Meanwhile, Homeland Security's own account published a post last night with a photo of an airplane on tarmac with the caption, quote, lawbreakers going wheels up in Minneapolis, which purportedly signals that they are continuing with deportations. The Trump administration is also restricting lawmakers' ability to visit ICE facilities again, even though a federal judge ruled just 3 weeks ago that they cannot enforce such policies. In a new memo dated January 8th, one day after RENEEGOOD was shot and killed, the Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem wrote that she was reissuing the policy that lawmakers must give a 7-day advance notice in order to visit an ICE facility. She explained in the memo that she was essentially sidestepping the federal court's ruling that the DHS policy explicitly violated federal funding laws. Instead, she directed ICE to begin using different money, funds appropriated from Trump's signature One Big Beautiful Bill
Hit the
Act,
3 dots,
which supercharged
Sean,
DHS
at the top.
with
Go that route.
$170 billion infusion of money.
Hit the 3 dots
Now,
and
this
go
was
to
news three Democratic Minnesota lawmakers,
the
Kelly Morrison,
Ilhan Omar
page.
and Angie Craig, who tried to visit the federal facility in Minneapolis yesterday morning to conduct their statutorily allowed oversight. After initially being let in to the front of the place, they were ultimately turned away and denied access. In a statement reported by Politico yesterday, a DHS spokesperson accused the three congresswomen of leading protesters to the facility, quote, with the makers, Kelly Morrison, Ilhan Omar, and Angie Craig, who tried to visit the federal facility in Minneapolis yesterday morning to conduct their statutorily allowed oversight. After initially being let in to the front of the place, they were ultimately turned away and denied access. In a statement reported by Politico yesterday, a DHS spokesperson accused the three congresswomen of leading protesters to the facility, quote, with the explicit goal of hunting down ICE officers who they believed may have been staying there, end quote. What a thing to say. The three lawmakers deny this, and MS Now's own team, whom you heard from yesterday, who was on the scene yesterday when the visit happened, said that the protesters had already been at the facility and had no foreknowledge that the lawmakers would be there. Meanwhile, more than 2,000 officers are continuing immigration sweeps across Minneapolis.
Slaughter!
Director Todd
Slaughter Wells, bring your comment over here to the live. Don't go behind the scenes talking that shit. Yeah. Stand your ground and come on over here so I can eat your ass up. So I'm going to remove this smart comment that I only read up until Jack Smith's name, and I'm going to remove it. And if you want us to see the comment, bring your happy-go-lucky ass over here and talk that shit. How about that? Yeah. Come from behind the scenes. That's the whole problem. Y'all hiding. What you hiding for? Huh? Slaughter? What you hiding for? Come from behind your mask. Yeah, don't go behind the scenes talking shit. Come out wherever you are. Yeah. So, and if you don't come, and you come in again behind the scenes, I'm going to block you. No, bring your ass over here. We live. And in living color. You understand? Come out. What you hiding for? You got a message? Bring it over here. Are we clear? Slaughter? Behind the scenes? Yeah. No, yeah. Don't be sending me no message. I'm live. Bring that over here, boo-boo. Bring it over here. Thank you. Yeah, they sending messages behind the scenes, talking that shit. No, I'm live. Come over here. Put it on paper over here. Let everybody see what you got to say. I have 30 million views. If you want the message to go out, bring it over here. Here we are. Come over here. Mutt. But yeah, that's the whole theme of the day. Hiding. What you hiding for? Yeah, come out. Show yourself if you got something to say. Show yourself. Let the people see your face.
The three lawmakers deny this, and
they don't want no smoke.
Team, whom you heard from yesterday, who was on the scene yesterday when the visit happened, said that the protesters had already been at the facility and had no foreknowledge that the lawmakers would be there. Meanwhile, more than 2,000 officers are continuing immigration sweeps across Minneapolis. The agency's acting director, Todd Lyons, has touted it as, quote, the largest immigration operation ever. Since the shooting of RENEEGOOD, that operation has only gotten bigger. In addition to the 2,000 officers, DHS has now ordered about 500 more law enforcement personnel to the city, pulling them out of other operations in cities like New Orleans and Chicago. In a press conference yesterday, Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara said that the operations are widespread and that they're finding abandoned vehicles around the city because of ICE apprehensions.
We had a report of a person taken from a vehicle, that the vehicle was not even placed in park, and that the car rolled, blocking the roadway, and we had to
just
respond
yanking
and tow
people
it.
out their car.
Another instance, I remember there was a vehicle that was left in the roadway with a dog inside that we had to respond with animal control.
So they yanking people
Force the
out their
personnel
car
to
while
the
they
city,
driving.
pulling them out of other operations in cities like New Orleans and Chicago. In a press conference yesterday, Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara said that the operations
And
are
you want people to
widespread
get out
and that
their
they're finding
car.
abandoned vehicles around the city because of ICE apprehensions.
We had a report of a person taken from a vehicle, that the vehicle was not even placed in park, and that the car rolled, blocking the roadway, and we had to respond and tow it. Another instance, I remember there was a vehicle that was left in the roadway with a dog inside that we had to respond with animal control and take.
Oh, girl, Renee, her dog was in the car. Her dog was in the car too, and it was rolling. Cause she was shot. Hi, Katrina. Yeah, it's the devil in the details.
Park, and the car rolled, blocking the roadway, and we had to respond and tow it. Another instance, I remember there was a vehicle that was left in the roadway with a dog inside that we had to respond with animal control and take custody of the dog.
What country are we living in? Meanwhile, federal and local officials are continuing to fight for control of the investigation into RENEEGOOD's shooting. The FBI has said that it would lead the case and limit cooperation with local law enforcement. But Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty, Hennepin County is where Minneapolis is, has since asked the public to submit footage of the shooting directly to her office's new online portal to aid in their investigation. Joining me now is MS Now senior reporter Josh Einiger. Josh, what's the situation?
So, Ali, we're still waiting right now for word from the county attorney's office, from the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, which is the BCA. That's the state agency that actually does the force investigation whenever any law enforcement officer from any agent.
Now, it said, slaughter me well. Yeah, but it also said a name of Chandra. Slaughter me well. That's who I'm calling out. Slaughter me well. Slaughter me well. Bring your ass over here. It also gave another name. Chandra something. I'll find it. Yeah, you who I'm talking to. Slaughter me well. And the reason why that person is getting called out, because it started out saying, well, apparently you losers don't pay attention to the truth. You understand why slaughter me well is being called to the rug? Okay. So that's why slaughter me well don't have the right to leave messages behind the scenes. Come out. Come out. Come from behind the mask. Slaughter me well. Yeah. Come out. Yeah, from behind the scenes. Bring that ass here. Bring that ass here. We here. Come out. Yeah. Yeah.
See, federal or local, deploys force on a civilian here in this state. They have effectively been neutered because they can't get the information. The FBI did the crime scene analysis, took everything, including the car, to their own lab, and so local investigators don't have access to the actual evidence or to the fruits of the labor of what the crime scene techs have been doing at the FBI. So Mary Moriarty, the county attorney, has been soliciting video witness statements from the public in hopes that maybe they could jumpstart the investigation. But of course, forensically, they need all that hard evidence if they're ever going to be able to decide, even just to decide whether they can bring a case in this matter. Ali?
Yeah, I'm out.
Josh, the Trump administration officials, starting with Kristi Noem on Wednesday morning, within a couple of hours of the shooting, then Donald Trump himself,
Bring that ass. Him.
They've made a lot of statements. They've drawn a lot of conclusions about that shooting. We've seen the video. We've conducted analysis of the video. Clearly, we're not forensics experts, but does all of this create a problem in both the investigation and any legal case that could come up down the line?
It creates tons of problems, Ali. You know, prosecutors
We're
are
out
very,
now.
as you know, loath to discuss evidence, to discuss any details that might prejudice either a jury or even their own
We're
thinking
out
about
now.
a case before they see the evidence. The other thing, Ali, important to point out, all that has done is fan the flames of anger among people here in the Twin Cities, specifically in Minneapolis. You know, last night, thousands, as you said, thousands of people turned out to march against ICE, angry not just at the killing of RENEEGOOD, but also at the slander of RENEEGOOD at so many levels of government. One person was arrested for tagging a building with anti-ICE graffiti, but aside from that, it was peaceful overnight. We did, in the last couple of days, speak with the county attorney, Mary Moriarty. She, again, is the DA who would prosecute a case if there were one to prosecute. Here's what she had to say specifically about the vice president's comments.
The vice president, whoever, they can make their political statements, but it is not appropriate to try a case in the public. It's not appropriate to do that. It's not fair to the family. It's not fair to anyone. And so that is what, you haven't heard me make any comments about any of the videos that we've seen, because it wouldn't be appropriate. We are going to try to collect everything that we can and look at all of that and see what's there.
One last thing, Ali, very quickly, just a personal note, so something we saw last night. You know, you don't see ICE officers anywhere on the streets. They're really invisible. There are more than 2,000 of them, but you can't really see them.
Yeah, I saw that.
Ironically, trying to see if we could find them in action.
I saw that,
Katrina. A couple
Katrina.
of guys driving around in a rental. It was a late model, American-made SUV. We pulled into a gas station, and these other people in another car
because that one was probably real. That one was probably real, and the other ones are probably staged. They don't want the real outpour. But I haven't had time to research it.
We were members of ICE, so we pulled out our press credentials, and we're like, no, we're press, we're TV, we're MS Now. But I just wanted to point that out. It's really a crazy example of what life is like here. There's so much suspicion, there's so much uncertainty and unease, and it's really permeated the whole area here in the Twin Cities.
And legitimate confusion as to who is who, because in many cases these officers are either not wearing uniforms or they are in vehicles you couldn't identify as being enforcement vehicles. Josh, it's an interesting point. Thank you for making it. We appreciate it. Senior reporter Josh Einiger in Minneapolis. We'll stay close to the story. In fact, right now I'm joined by the Democratic Congresswoman Angie Craig of Minnesota. She was one of 3 Minnesota lawmakers who were denied access to an ICE facility in Minneapolis yesterday. Congresswoman Craig, great to see you
Get the lights up.
You and I discussed yesterday that you have a statutory right to go into these places without notice. According to Kristi Noem, as of Thursday, that's not the case. Now, I don't know how this works, but because you have a statutory authority, Kristi Noem has issued a policy, and can you make sense of what this all means?
The response, the order that she signed the day after the killing of RENEEGOOD will be deemed illegal. She lied, they lied in that statement yesterday. The press saw us, we arrived at the facility, we were incredibly peaceful. We simply asked to come in and perform our congressional responsibilities and duties. But the most ridiculous thing that they are saying is somehow because the one big beautiful bill is where they have moved the idea that they would perform these congressional duties, that they no longer have a responsibility to let us in when we show up. We all showed up with the actual court case from December 17th in the circuit court of the district, in the district court of the District of Columbia. So they are once again violating the law, but this is not a surprise. Kristi Noem is lying. What we've seen in Minneapolis, in Minnesota, has really been just incredible over the last week.
May I read you a little bit from this memo that Kristi Noem, and again, this is, for us who are not members of Congress and not lawyers, hard to understand because we think that money that is appropriated by Congress is money that's appropriated by Congress, right? The distinctions about whether it was in this bill or that bill are not clear to some of my viewers. But more importantly, let's talk about why Kristi Noem says that this memo causing you to give 7 days notice is important. She said the basis for this policy is that advance notice is necessary to ensure adequate protection for members of Congress, congressional staff, detainees, and ICE employees alike. Unannounced visits require pulling ICE officers away from their normal duties. Moreover, there's an increasing trend of replacing legitimate oversight activities with circus-like publicity stunts, all of which creates a chaotic environment and heightened emotions. Your response to that, please.
Well, that's ludicrous. We showed up to perform our duties, and we were actually immediately taken in by the people who've run that detention center for years and years. So the local folks within the Department of Homeland Security realized they had a responsibility to let us in, and then they had us wait for a little while inside. They actually took us inside that detention facility just barely before they got word from Kristi Noem and higher ups that they were not going to let us see the detention facility. Look, I mean, this is ridiculous. The budget reconciliation bill that they are quoting that would not allow us to come in is an appropriations bill. It's a budget bill. I talked to leadership overnight, and we will be notifying the district court of these activities. I am fully confident because this doesn't just impact Minnesota lawmakers. It impacts lawmakers across this country. Yes. Who are coming in to, and we actually have a right to talk to our detained constituents. We had privacy releases with us yesterday that would have allowed us to do just that.
When I talked to you yesterday, you and your colleagues had copies of the December 17th court ruling that allowed you to, conduct these investigations, even though you're allowed to already. Were you aware that there was this new policy in place?
No, that's the other really ridiculous point of all of this. They didn't notify members of Congress of this policy change. Only after we attempted to perform our duties yesterday, do our jobs yesterday. And by the way, the officials who would not let us in the end, they never once said there's a new policy in place. They never once said there is now a 7-day notice required, period. So I'm not sure they even were aware of the policy until we showed up. Someone stopped us from performing our job, doing our job that the people of the 2nd District of Minnesota have duly elected me to do. And so it was just nonsensical. Of course, they kicked us out. And in their statement, they lied about everything that happened on the ground. And look, there were, 100 reporters on that site. Everyone saw what they saw. And there were about 10 protesters, and they were there before we arrived.
Right, because that's part of the allegation, right? That you organized the protesters or came with them or brought them, and you were hunting ICE officers.
It's just incredible. In fact, we've been there before, some of my colleagues, and we know some.
Y'all get the likes up, please. Double tap the face of your phone. Get the likes up. Battery running low. Y'all know what that means. I mean, y'all gonna want me to be inconvenienced for y'all convenience. And I'ma say, get the likes up. 238 people in here. Only 84 likes. I need for y'all to double tap the face of y'all screen. If you're on your phone.
Some of these
And if you're on your computer,
They literally escorted us into
yeah,
the
go ahead.
facility.
Why do you keep?
There was no conflict at all. We let them know what we were there to do. But as we walked up to the gate,
Here you go.
Developing tonight, we're hearing from the family of a man who authorities.
There you go, Katrina. This who you talking about? This who you talking about, Katrina? Get the lights up.
Developing tonight, we're hearing from the family of a man who authorities say was firing gunshots in celebration of the new year when he was shot and killed by an off-duty ICE agent.
There you go, Katrina. That's why. That's why we're not hearing about it. Because he was shooting.
Developing tonight, we're hearing from the family of a man who authorities say was firing gunshots in celebration of the new year when he was shot and killed by an off-duty ICE agent. Fox 11's Rachel Aragon joining us live from Universal City, where the family's attorney is calling for an investigation. Rachel?
Yeah, thorough investigation, according to the attorney and the family. Of course, that means to them, police interviewing everyone in the area that night on New Year's Eve to see if, in fact, Keith Porter shot towards that off-duty officer. But according to the family attorney I talked to earlier today, he says as of now, he sees no evidence that Porter himself was a threat that night.
So when I said, because one, it probably wasn't, it's not staged. That's probably why we're not hearing about it. Because it wasn't staged. Yeah, just right off the bat, he was shooting on New Year's Eve. It's illegal to do. One, and so I'm sure they're investigating, but that wasn't staged. That wasn't something that they had already planned, you know, for political reasons. Here go a young man that was shooting on New Year's Eve, as people often do. Now, we're going to continue to hear the rest, but right off the bat, what I'm hearing is this wasn't a staged incident. So this is not that IBS or IBMD or this is not Hollywood, you know, production on the cool. This was somebody celebrating on New Year's Eve, and something happened. Right. Let's go.
Who authorities say was firing gunshots in celebration of the new year when he was shot and killed by an off-duty ICE agent. Fox 11's Rachel Aragon joining us live from Universal City, where the family's attorney is calling for an investigation. Rachel?
Yeah, thorough investigation, according to the attorney and the family. Of course, that means to them, police interviewing everyone in the area that night on New Year's Eve to see if, in fact, Keith Porter shot towards that off-duty officer. But according to the family attorney I talked to earlier today, he says as of now, he sees no evidence that Porter himself was a threat that night.
It's hard. Oh my God, he just loves so deeply.
Just days into the new year, the mother of 43-year-old Keith Porter is still filled with grief and disbelief. According to law enforcement, her son Keith fired celebratory gunshots into the air with an AR-15 style rifle outside his apartment complex on New Year's Eve.
Armed with an AR-15 rifle, possibly suffering from a gunshot wound.
An LAPD report states the off-duty federal officer confronted Porter, identified himself as law enforcement, and claims Porter fired toward him, prompted the officer to return fire.
What should have been a simple arrest and possible a citation has turned into a death sentence.
The family's attorney says this all could have been himself as law enforcement and claims Porter fired toward him, prompted the officer to return fire.
Why would he, if he was shooting in the air, how did it get towards the officer?
Duty federal officer confronted Porter, identified himself as law enforcement, and claims Porter fired toward him, prompted the officer to return fire.
What should have been a simple arrest and possible a citation.
Y'all see the difference? Do y'all see the difference, though? Do y'all see why it's not widespread? You got to see the difference.
Toward him prompted the officer to return fire.
What should have been a simple arrest and possible a citation has turned into a death sentence.
The family's attorney says this all could have been avoided.
But instead of staying in his apartment for a trained law enforcement officer from LAPD to respond, he made the premeditated and calculated decision to grab a firearm.
Fox 11 reached out to the Department of Homeland Security. In a statement, the department said the off-duty ICE officer bravely responded to an active shooter situation at his apartment complex. In order to protect his life and that of others, he was forced to defensively use his weapon.
Oh man,
DHS goes on to say
so funny.
their officer immediately called police.
According to his version, Keith shot 3 shots towards him. We have questions on if there was any shell casing recovered from Keith's weapon that would indicate he in fact fired the weapon 3 times.
Keith's family and their attorneys say they have yet to find a witness to corroborate that the father of 2 fired towards the off-duty officer.
Now, DHS tells me they're referring any further questions to LAPD, which is currently investigating. We reached out to LAPD earlier today to see if they have yet to identify that off-duty ICE agent. They responded saying as of right now, they have nothing.
Y'all double tap the face of the phone. Get the lights up. So yeah, that would be the difference. Now, why the off-duty officer? I mean, if he is ICE, whether he on duty or not, he already knows that the Department of Justice and Trump are going to back them. He already knows that. So he went outside with that, any reason. Give us any reason. But let me say this. Since, they really do want black people to react. And, I guess they could have, made this an issue, but they can't. They really can't, because we the people, thank you, Naturally New Orleans, we cannot be wrong. We can't be doing anything wrong and expect to have the outpour like before. Yeah, you're not supposed to be shooting a gun. You're not. Did you know ICE was living in your apartment? I don't know, but you were shooting a gun. And this is, the same president that's in office, that was in office when they lifted those gun laws and gave you the right to bear arms. It was a setup then, and it's a setup now. It was a setup then. Just about everything, the black, oh yeah, they all happy that it seemed like he this, he. No, it was all a setup. You want crazy people, you want any and everybody to be able to bear guns, and then when push come to shove and there's a little bit of a situation, the first thing they gonna say is, well, he had a gun. Well, you gave him right to bear one. Yeah, but you had yours even before he lifted the ban. Let's just keep it real, Big L. Did you already have your gun then? Yeah, you did. But for any and everybody to have one, crazy Looney Tune, no. It was a setup. You already had a gun. You didn't just go out and get one because he made the right to bear arms. I mean, the same thing. Come on. But the setup is that they say you have the right to bear it until something pops off. So Mr. Porter had the right to bear arms, right? But old boy shot him because he had one. So now is that he felt the threat. He felt threatened. He felt threatened for the whole neighborhood. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Folk who gonna carry him was already carrying him. But now, he put it into law. But then you still breaking it when somebody shoots you down because you have one. So which one is it? And then they gonna make excuses for shooting them down because he got a gun. So this time it wasn't just that he had one, he shot it. He was shooting it. Which it leaves room for somebody to say, my life was in danger. I felt a threat. And then he shot him. All they're going to do is lie and say he pointed it at me. Yeah, but if you'd have stayed in the house, when nobody had pointed it at you, so what you go outside for? Well, I had a right to go outside. Yeah, no, you ICE. You just off work, and you've already been told that you have a right to shoot and ill. I'm telling you, we got to change the way we think. We think one way, and they have already thought past what we are going to do. So a lot of stuff is to make us react. But for us to react, you can't be breaking the law. You can't be breaking the law. And I don't know if they have a case. I really don't. He was shooting a gun.
To the new year, the mother of 43-year-old Keith Porter is still filled with grief towards that off-duty officer. But according to the family attorney I
We
talked
got
to
to know
earlier
better
today,
and do
he says
better.
as of now,
Absolutely.
he sees no evidence that Porter himself was a threat.
And again,
that
this
night.
is why I try to tell people, we think we have rights. And we are supposed to have them. Absolutely. But you got a president in power right now who only wants to enforce the law when it is pertaining to him. Then he'll say, well, I have a constitutional right. But when somebody else, comes with that, are they trying to take our rights away? Hell, if they trying to take freedom of speech, they trying to take everything else away. I have a constitutional right to bear arms. Yeah, but you don't have a constitutional right to put somebody, have them fear for their life. It's like, do you have a freedom of speech? Yeah, you have a freedom of speech until your freedom of speech goes too far. Freedom of speech have clauses. You can't threaten somebody. You can't threaten somebody. That freedom of speech will get you a case. Yeah, you can say what you want to say, but it do not eliminate the backlash. What comes after that, depending on who you say that to. And if they are part of the machine, if they are part of the game, if they are part of the setup. So yes, he had the right to bear arms, but he do not have the right to put somebody in fear of their life. See how that works?
It's hard. Oh my God, he just loves so deeply.
Just days into the new year, the mother of 43-year-old Keith Porter is still filled with grief and disbelief. According to law enforcement, her son Keith fired celebratory gunshots into the air with an AR-15 style rifle outside his apartment complex.
Yeah, we don't think that ICE agent didn't know that he was celebrating, that he wasn't trying to shoot nobody. I mean, don't give them reason. Absolutely. Yeah, he probably know that there's a good chance that man was just celebrating. But on the flip side of that, this was in California. I mean, come on. We all also know that is gang territory in California. And so there are, what did OG Percy call it? Purge. They purged during New Year's Eve because they know that there's going to already be a lot of gunshots going off in celebration of New Year. It's just, yeah. I see why they haven't put much emphasis on this one. I really do.
Armed with an AR-15 rifle, possibly suffering from a gunshot wound.
An LAPD report states the off-duty federal officer confronted Porter, identified himself as law enforcement, and claims Porter fired toward him, prompted the officer to return fire.
What should have been a simple arrest and possible a citation has turned into a death sentence.
The family's attorney says this all could have been avoided.
But instead of staying in his apartment for a trained law enforcement officer from LAPD to respond, he made the premeditated and calculated decision to grab a firearm.
Fox 11 reached out to the Department of Homeland Security. In a statement, the department said the off-duty ICE officer bravely responded to an active shooter situation at his apartment complex. In order to protect his life and that of others, he was forced to defensively use his weapon. DHS goes on to say their officer immediately called police.
According to his version, Keith shot 3 shots towards him. We have questions on if there was any shell casing recovered from Keith's weapon that would indicate he in fact fired the weapon 3 times.
Keith's family and their attorneys say they have yet to find a witness to corroborate that the father of 2 fired towards the off-duty officer.
Now, DHS tells me they're referring any further questions to LAPD, which is currently investigating. We reached out to LAPD earlier today to see if they have yet to identify that off-duty ICE agent. They responded saying, as of right now, they have nothing further to share on this case. Raytheon tonight.
Why they want to hide behind? Huh? Why are they protecting them? Huh? Why?
Tonight, strong emotions in Northridge at a vigil for 43-year-old Keith Porter. Authorities say he had been shooting gunshots in celebration outside of his apartment on New Year's Eve when an off-duty ICE agent responded and killed him. Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf live tonight where he had been shooting gunshots in celebration outside of his apartment on New Year's Eve when an off-duty ICE agent responded and killed him. Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf live tonight where this all took place. Matthew, what do you know?
Oh, Laura, there were more than 100 very emotional people here tonight. You can take a look at the memorial that they left behind, all the candles and the signs and flowers, some now calling for an investigation.
Hey, Debbie.
Say his name! Say his name!
Keith Porter.
Grief and anger filling in Northridge
Hit
Street.
the like button, please.
For 43-year-old Keith Porter.
He was a great black.
Gunshots.
Well, why he gotta be why we gotta say black?
New Year's Eve,
He was a great man. Come on, people.
Responded and killed him. Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf live tonight where this all took place. Matthew, what do you know?
Oh, Laura, there were more than 100 very emotional people here tonight. You can take a look at the memorial that they left behind, all the candles and the signs and flowers, some now calling for an investigation. Say his name! Say his name! Grief and anger filling in Northridge Street at a vigil for 43-year-old Keith Porter.
He was a great black man. He was a girl dad.
Described as a father with 2 kids, Porter is accused of firing AR-15 bullets in the air outside this apartment last week to celebrate the new year before he was shot and killed by an off-duty ICE agent.
His only mistake was thinking that he was free enough to do it here. And to the people that think it was a stupid act, it's the same stupid act that many of us have done time and time again. New Year's.
I agree. Hey, Debbie, I agree. It is a stupid act that a lot of people have done time and time again for years. I absolutely agree with her. This time, you have a president in office who have given ICE agents permission to take you out. Depopulation still exists. Only thing I don't like what she said, she did not have to say he was a good black man. He's a good man. So they just kind of make it seem to me like she's intentionally trying to put it out there like that. But I just think that at this time, we all got to move a little more wiser.
Only mistake was.
Yeah, we got to be smart about it. We just got to be smart about it. And our hands got to be kind of clean. That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. I don't know how I would feel if I was out there and I saw him with that type of gun shooting. Huh? I mean, wait a minute. Well, why you? Where's a pistol? I mean, you know what? Why are we doing that? Yeah, no, I don't like that. I don't like that. He was a good black man. He was a good man. He was a girl dad. Don't try to incite black people. Don't do that. Don't pull us into something that did not have to happen if he did not have a gun. If he didn't have a gun, and he was just out there chilling, watching other people do it, and the man came outside talking shit and then shot him, it'd have been different. That's just my opinion. But I see why it's not getting that attention. Now, I do see that because it was not their staged performance. That they had cameras and crews and everybody so they could say, oh, it was we need to incite a riot in California. I'm sure he don't want that in California.
Agent.
His only mistake was thinking that he was free enough to do it here. And to the people that think it was a stupid act, it's the same stupid act that many of us have done time and time again. New Year's Eve celebratory.
This is not someone who was out to harm anyone.
But according to an LAPD report, the off-duty agent heard gunshots, confronted Porter, identified himself as law enforcement, and claims Porter shot towards him, prompting the agent to fire back, killing Porter.
Police lie, and it's disgusting the way in which they assassinate black life.
Yes, police do lie. Presidents lie. Listen, y'all, I'm not the one. I'm not the one that's just gonna find fault in everything white people do and not identify us. We all lie. We all will lie. We all will. We'll lie. If we don't have character. I don't think lying necessarily is a color thing. I think it's a character thing. See, I could lie right now and go along with everything they saying because they black. But that ain't necessarily the truth. That is not necessarily the truth. So lying is not a black and a white thing. It's not a left and a right. It's not a boy and a girl, woman and man. It's a character thing. Yeah, character would say, yeah, Let me give you an example. I'm gonna put myself in here. There's a situation that happened with a family member of mine that is no longer here. And my nephew called me and told me, he had just got word of what happened. And he was hyped, man. Ooh, he was hyped. And he wanted me to believe that what happened, police did. And he wanted me to get to work. He wanted me to react. And the more I listened to what was going on, and the more I listened, and the investigation and the police, was saying, the police, what they were saying was more of the truth than not. And based on investigation. But it didn't mean that my nephew didn't want me to not believe them and react the way he knew I would react, or get politically astute with them, right? Yeah, he wanted me to co-sign it, you know. And instead of me just co-signing it and reacting, I had to get the facts. And I think I really pissed him off because I was like, no, I don't believe that. I'm just not going to go along with it, even though it was someone that was very dear to me and still would bring tears to my eyes. I just could not do that if it wasn't the truth. I wanted to know the truth. I wanted to know the truth. I just didn't want to react if I was reacting on a lie. Because we will do that. We will pump stuff up just to get a reaction. No, man, it's a character thing. It's a character thing. It's not a black, it's not a white, it's not a family, it's not a friend. It's just, no, we can't do that. And I'm going to leave that like that. I understand what they're doing, but everybody will lie. But that don't even mean that you're really getting justice just because you lie. You be flipping the whole city upside down on a lie. Innocent people getting involved and get hurt on a lie. No, fuck that, man. No. I want to know the truth. Then, if what you say is true, then I will react. Then I will get politically astute. Then, yeah. But not until then. The dots got to connect. It got to make sense to me. Because everybody will lie. Move on past that one.
The way in which they assassinate black life.
Claiming that he had an AR-15 and was shooting bullets up in the air.
It's not the smartest thing to do if that is the case. But regardless, is that punishable by death?
No, it's not punishable by death. No, it's not. Especially if it was not really a threat and he just know that he ICE and that he has a permission to take out anybody. And he could very well have been, very well could have been. But how, in this case, how we don't know that his life wasn't in danger. Homeboy had an AK shooting it in the air. Did he point it at him? I don't know. Where are the witnesses? Who saw it? It's ugly. I ain't gonna even lie. There needs to be more investigation. But it's ICE right now, and Trump have given them permission to unalive people. And that is up. Especially family. Absolutely, Big L. You know, we gotta keep it real. We gotta keep it real. We gotta keep it real. I'm sick of the lie. I'm sick of the lie all the way around the board. And the lie is the devil. But we gotta call it what it is. But trust me, I did my investigation. And that you can believe. And as far as I'm concerned, it's still a sore spot. Yeah.
It's not the smartest thing to do if that is the case. But regardless.
Assassinate black life.
Claiming that he had an AR-15 and was shooting bullets up in the air.
It's not the smartest thing to do if that is the case. But regardless, is that punishable by death? I don't think so. I think, we have due process in this country. And
the Department of Homeland Security tells Fox 11 the off-duty officer bravely responded to an active shooter situation at his apartment complex
You right,
in order to
Big
protect
L.
his life.
Big L, you're absolutely right. That's the wisdom of getting older. You can't just fall for anything anymore. You're right. And let me say this, because people know you. People who know you know you. People who know you, know you. And they know that they know how to bait you as well. See, anybody, especially at that time, who knew me, knew that one, I was going to get on it, and one, I was going to react, and one, it was going to be, and one, you just know, you understand? They just know, that my auntie, my auntie going to get to my auntie, she going to, you understand? They know who you are, they know your ways, they know your reactions, they know, they already know. They already know. They already know. And all they know is that once you hear this, she gonna bam. Hell yeah, my auntie, she go. They already know that. And then you gonna be the one playing on your emotions, the good and the bad. They know the good strings to pull, and they know the bad ones to pull. And anybody at that time who knew me, knew my nieces and nephews at that time were like my kids. My oldest nephew is just 10 years younger than me. So them early nieces and nephews, shit. Yeah, no. I don't play like that. I don't play like that with none of them. None of them. But they knew that. They knew that. They knew I'd get down with you. You didn't give a shit about none of that. I don't care about none of that. Yeah, so they'll play on who they know you are and pull you in some shit, on some lies. And that was some time ago, but it's like, no.
by death? I don't think so. I think, we have due process in this country. And
the Department of
We're
Homeland
supposed to
Security
have
tells
due
Fox
process.
11 the off-duty officer bravely responded to an active shooter situation at his apartment
bullshit.
complex.
Now,
In
that's
order to protect
bullcrap.
his life and that of others, he was forced to defensively use his weapon.
It is our duty to fight for freedom.
While a crowd of people Sunday call for an independent investigation.
He was off duty. Protocol states he was supposed to stay in that house and call 911 if he thought that Keith was a danger to anyone else. But unlike him, Keith wasn't.
I don't know how to process that, y'all. Protocol. She said protocol. Yeah, but protocol as a U.S. citizen is that you weren't supposed to be out there shooting that gun. Yeah, no. Everything is not a George Floyd situation. I'm going to say that. I'm going to just say that. Everything is not a George Floyd situation. It do have to work both ways. This is not a George Floyd situation. Now, especially with the things that they are saying out of their mouths. Protocol. No.
Use his weapon.
It is our duty to fight for freedom.
While a crowd of people Sunday call for an independent investigation.
He was off duty. Protocol states he was supposed to stay in that house and call 911 if he thought that Keith was a danger to it. He was off.
for an independent investigation.
He was off duty. Protocol states he was supposed to stay in that house and call 911 if he thought that Keith was a danger to anyone else. But unlike him, Keith wasn't.
According to Black Lives Matter, they have a meeting tomorrow with the LA County District Attorney. This meeting sounds like it's pre-planned, but they do want to bring up this case. We're live in Northridge tonight. Matthew Seedorf, Fox 11 News.
Okay, yeah, I see why there's not a lot of, with this one. I get it. Yeah, I did see it. Now, I ain't gonna lie and act like I didn't see it. And I didn't touch it because I didn't have the details that I would, and I didn't have time to research it. So thank you for bringing it up. But I absolutely see why. Now, hopefully, in the family's defense, that there is some video somewhere, camera, some evidence. But right now, right now, yeah, I'm gonna leave that where it is. Let me end on this one. What time is it? 3:01, 3:45. Yeah, hold on. Let me see where I'm at. 3. Let me, what y'all think? I'm gonna say this, y'all. We got to outsmart them. We got to be cool. We got to move wisely and not blackly. Woo! Did y'all catch that? Did y'all catch that? We got to move wisely and not blackly. They want us to move blackly. Yeah, and that's falling for the banana in the tailpipe. So move wisely. For black's sake. For black's sake, move wisely. Do not fall for the banana in the tailpipe. And I hope that registers respectfully. I hope it registers respectfully. Okay? Now, what is this one? Let me see. Okay, let's hear this one. Let's hear this, because I made mention to this earlier.
Now a local tax expert will do your taxes for $150
By
no catch.
Secret Service.
There is a question that legal scholars have debated in private for years. A scenario so unprecedented that there is no clear answer in the law, no historical precedent to guide us, and no consensus on what would actually happen. What happens if a former president of the United States is sentenced to prison? Not house arrest, not probation, not a fine. Prison, a federal penitentiary with bars, cells, and guards. Because under federal law, every former president is entitled to Secret Service protection for life. That protection is not optional. It is not something a president can waive or a court can revoke. It is a permanent legal obligation. The Secret Service is required by law to protect former presidents 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for the rest of their lives, no matter where they are. So what happens when the place they are is a prison cell? Do Secret Service agents move into the prison? Do they guard the former president from other inmates? Do they have authority over the prison guards? Who is in charge of security, the Bureau of Prisons or the Secret Service? And what happens if those two institutions have conflicting procedures, conflicting chains of command, and conflicting ideas about what security even means? To understand why this is such a complex problem, you need to understand the two systems that would be forced to operate in the same space. First, there is the United States Secret Service. Most people know the Secret Service as the agency that protects the sitting president, standing close with earpieces and dark suits, ready to take a bullet if necessary. But the Secret Service's
Who would want that
protective mandate
job?
extends far beyond the current occupant of the Oval Office. Under federal law, Specifically, Title 18 of the United States Code, Section 3056, the Secret Service is required to protect former presidents and their spouses for their lifetimes. This was not always the case. Originally, protection was only provided for a limited period after leaving office, but in 1965, Congress extended it to a lifetime benefit, and that provision has remained in place ever since, with only a brief interruption in 1997 when it was limited to 10 years before being restored to lifetime protection in 2013. The reasoning behind lifetime protection is straightforward. Former presidents possess classified information. They have made decisions that created enemies, both foreign and domestic. They remain symbols of the United States, and any harm that comes to them could be seen as an attack on the nation itself. The Secret Service does not just protect them from physical threats. They protect them from kidnapping, from espionage, from...
Excuse me.
rights, or because of his political identity. An inmate with strong political beliefs opposed to the former president might see attacking him as a form of activism or martyrdom. Gang members might target him to gain status or to send a message. There is also the possibility of inmates being paid or coerced by outside actors to harm the former president. But there could also be threats from outside the prison, from individuals or groups who see an imprisoned former president as vulnerable and want to exploit that. Foreign intelligence services might see an opportunity to gather information or to embarrass the United States. Domestic extremists might attempt a rescue operation or an attack on the facility itself. The Secret Service would want to isolate the former president as much as possible to minimize contact with potential threats. They would probably advocate for the former president to be held in administrative segregation, which is essentially solitary confinement, in a cell by himself with minimal interaction with other inmates. The Bureau of Prisons might resist that, arguing that extreme isolation constitutes cruel and unusual punishment and violates the Eighth Amendment. Courts have increasingly recognized that prolonged solitary confinement can cause severe psychological harm, and there have been successful legal challenges to its use. But if the alternative is exposing the former president to constant threats from other inmates, what is the solution? You end up in a situation where protecting the former president requires violating his constitutional rights, or where protecting his constitutional rights requires putting him in danger. There is no way to win. There is also the question of what kind of facility would even house a former president. Federal prisons are classified by security level. Minimum security facilities, often called federal prison camps, house nonviolent offenders and have relatively relaxed rules. Inmates live in dormitory-style housing, and there are no perimeter fences. Medium security facilities have more restrictions, and high security penitentiaries are designed for violent offenders and have the most stringent controls. Where does a former president fit in that system? If he is convicted of nonviolent crimes like fraud or obstruction of justice, the sentencing guidelines would typically call for a minimum or low security facility. But can a former president be housed in a minimum security camp where there are no fences and inmates have freedom of movement? The security risks seem insurmountable. On the other hand, if you place a former president in a maximum security penitentiary, you are putting him in an environment with the most dangerous inmates in the federal system, which also seems problematic. One possibility that has been discussed is creating a separate facility or a separate wing of an existing facility specifically for the former president, essentially a prison within a prison. The former president would be isolated from the general inmate population with his own cell block, his own yard time, and his own schedule. The Secret Service could establish a secure perimeter within the facility and operate relatively independently from the rest of the prison. This would solve some of the jurisdictional and security problems, but it creates new ones. Is it legal to give a former president special treatment that no other inmate receives? Does that violate the principle of equal justice under law? And if you isolate a former president to that degree, are you effectively imposing solitary confinement, which is considered by many to be a form of torture and has been the subject of legal challenges? The cost is another issue that nobody seems to want to talk about. Protecting a president or former president is extraordinarily expensive. The Secret Service does not publicly disclose the cost of protective details, but estimates for protecting a sitting president run into the hundreds of millions of dollars per year when you factor in personnel, equipment, transportation, and logistics. Protecting a former president is less expensive because the threat level is generally lower and the travel is less frequent, but it still costs tens of millions of dollars annually. Now imagine that you have to maintain that level of protection inside a federal prison. You need agents on site 24/7. You need secure communication systems, you need coordination with the Bureau of Prisons, you potentially need modifications to the facility itself to create a secure area. The cost could easily rival or exceed the cost of protecting a sitting president. And who pays for it? The Secret Service budget comes from the Department of Homeland Security, but the Bureau of Prisons operates under the Department of Justice. If the prison needs to be retrofitted or if additional correctional officers need to be hired to accommodate the Secret Service presence, does the Bureau of Prisons budget cover that, or does it come out of the Secret Service budget? These financial and logistical questions have not been answered because, until now, they did not need to be. There's also the international dimension to consider. The United States has long criticized other countries for imprisoning political opponents or former leaders. When a country like Russia or Turkey or Egypt jails a former president or prime minister, the U.S. government often condemns it as a sign of authoritarianism, a failure of democratic norms. What happens to that moral authority if the United States puts its own former president in prison? Does it undermine America's ability to lecture other nations about rule of law and human rights? Or does it actually strengthen that position by demonstrating that in the United States, no one is above the law, not even a former president? The answer probably depends on how the rest of the world perceives the prosecution. If it is seen as legitimate, as a genuine application of justice, then it could enhance America's credibility. If it is seen as politically motivated, as one party weaponizing the legal system against another, then it could do significant damage to America's image abroad. Let's talk about precedent, or rather, the complete absence of it. No former president of the United States has ever been indicted, let alone convicted and sentenced to prison. There have been presidents who faced legal jeopardy. Richard Nixon was pardoned by Gerald Ford specifically to avoid prosecution. Ford justified the pardon by arguing that the nation needed to heal and move on from Watergate, but the effect was to ensure that Nixon never faced criminal consequences for his actions. Bill Clinton was impeached but not removed from office, and he faced potential legal consequences after leaving office, but those were resolved without prison time. Clinton eventually settled with federal prosecutors, agreed to a fine and a temporary suspension of his law license, but avoided any criminal charges.
With Smart Plus campaigns, we went from 250,000 downloads to over 1 million downloads in less than a year.
We've generated over 100,000 leads, which has converted into over 40,000 sales for our pet insurance policies.
Get started today with TikTok Smart Plus.
Ulysses S. Grant was arrested while president, but for a minor traffic violation, speeding in his horse-drawn carriage in Washington, D.C. He paid a fine and was released. It was hardly the kind of serious criminal matter we are discussing here. Warren G. Harding's administration was engulfed in the Teapot Dome scandal involving bribery and corruption at the highest levels, but Harding himself died before facing any consequences, and the officials who were convicted served their sentences without the complication of Secret Service protection because they were not presidents. The closest historical parallel might be Spiro Agnew, who was vice president under Nixon. Agnew resigned in 1973 after pleading no contest to tax evasion charges. He was sentenced to probation and avoided prison. But Agnew was vice president, not president, and he resigned before the full weight of the justice system came down on him. The legal protections and complications that apply to a sitting or former president did not apply to him in the same way. The fact that we have gone more than 2 centuries without imprisoning a former president is not because presidents have always been law-abiding. It is because the political and legal systems have found ways to avoid that outcome through pardons, plea deals, or decisions not to prosecute. The possibility of imprisoning Donald Trump represents a break from that tradition, and once that barrier is broken, it changes the calculus for every future president. If Trump goes to prison, future presidents will know that it is possible that the immunity they thought they had is not absolute. That could have a chilling effect on presidential decision-making, or it could simply mean that presidents are held to the same legal standards as everyone else. Another question that has to be addressed is what happens to the former president's other rights and privileges while in prison. Former presidents receive a pension, currently over $200,000 per year. They receive funding for office space and staff. They receive health care. Do those benefits continue if the former president is incarcerated? The law does not explicitly say. The pension is provided under the Former President's Act, and there is no provision that terminates it upon conviction.
So technically, a former president in prison would still receive a six-figure annual salary. That might strike many people as absurd. Why should taxpayers fund a pension for someone sitting in a federal prison cell? But changing that would require an act of Congress, and it is not clear that Congress has the political will to pass such a law, especially if it is seen as targeting one specific individual. Then there is the question of presidential libraries. Every modern president has a presidential library, a facility that houses their papers, records, and artifacts and serves as a museum and research center. The libraries are built with private donations but are operated by the National Archives once they are completed. If a former president is in prison, does the work on their presidential library continue? Does the National Archives proceed with cataloging and displaying the records of a convicted felon? Or does the project get put on hold indefinitely? These might seem like minor issues compared to the security and legal questions, but they are part of the broader question of how society treats a former president who has been imprisoned. Do you strip away all the trappings of the office, or do you maintain some level of respect for the position even if the individual has been found guilty of crimes? We also have to consider the impact on the Secret Service agents themselves. Protecting a president is considered one of the most prestigious assignments in federal law enforcement. Agents compete for the opportunity to be on the presidential detail, but protecting a former president in prison is a very different job. You are not standing on a stage at a rally or walking through the halls of the White House. You are inside a correctional facility surrounded by convicted criminals operating in an environment that is hostile and potentially dangerous. The morale and psychological toll on agents assigned to that detail could be significant. And there is the question of rotation. Typically, agents rotate on and off protective details to prevent burnout. But if you are assigned to protect a former president in prison, how long is that assignment? Months, years, the entire duration of the prison sentence? The logistical and human resources challenges are immense. One of the most troubling aspects of this scenario is that none of these questions will be answered in advance. There will be no lengthy planning process, no interagency task force that sits down and works out the details ahead of time. If Donald Trump is convicted and sentenced to prison, the system will have to figure it out on the fly. The Secret Service and the Bureau of Prisons will be thrown into a situation they have never faced before, forced to make decisions in real time without clear legal guidance. That is a recipe for chaos, it is a recipe for conflict between agencies, and it is a recipe for potential security failures, either because the Secret Service is unable to adequately protect the former president in a prison environment, or because the presence of the Secret Service disrupts the normal functioning of the prison to such a degree that it creates new risks. There is one more possibility that needs to be discussed, and that is the possibility that a court, recognizing the impossibility of this situation, decides that prison is simply not a viable option for a former president.
Treason,
A judge could sentence
espionage,
Trump to
any
house
of that
arrest,
type of stuff.
monitored by the Secret Service at one of his properties.
I feel like if he is found guilty of any of that serious crime, those rights should be revoked. Pastor Toya. I hope those rights are revoked. Let him handle it on his own. Every man for himself. And who would want that job? To be in jail? Oh, no, hell no.
Fly. The Secret Service and the Bureau
Let
of Prisons
ICE sit in there
thrown
with
into
him.
a situation they have never faced before, forced to make decisions in real time without clear legal guidance.
Right,
That is
Specs.
a recipe for chaos. It is a recipe for conflict
Lock 'em all
between
up.
agencies, and it is a recipe
Let
for
them
potential
start their
security
own game in
failures,
prison.
either because the Secret Service is unable to adequately protect the former president in a prison environment, or because the presence of the Secret Service disrupts the normal functioning of the prison to such a degree that it creates new risks. There is one more possibility that needs to be discussed, and that is the possibility that a court, recognizing the impossibility of this situation, decides that prison is simply not a viable option for a former president. A judge could sentence Trump to house arrest, monitored by the Secret Service at one of his properties, arguing that the logistical and security challenges of imprisonment are too great. That would avoid the jurisdictional nightmare, but it would create a different kind of problem. It would look like special treatment. It would look like the justice system bending over backward to accommodate a former president in a way that it would never accommodate an ordinary defendant. And that would undermine the principle that no one is above the law. If the message is that a former president cannot go to prison because it is too complicated, then the message is also that former presidents are in a different legal category than everyone else. That is not a message that sits
Law
well
and
in a
order.
society that prides itself on equality before the law, so we are left with an impossible situation. A former president who is legally entitled to Secret Service protection for life might also be legally required to serve time in a federal prison. Those two mandates cannot coexist easily. Something has to give. Either the Secret Service figures out how to operate inside a prison in a way that has never been done before, or the courts find a way to avoid sending a former president to prison in the first place, or Congress steps in and changes the law to address this scenario. But Congress has not shown any interest in doing that. The courts are going to be reluctant to create new legal precedents on the fly, and the Secret Service is going to be left holding the bag, tasked with an impossible mission that no one has prepared them for. The question is not just what happens if a former president goes to prison. The question is whether the system can even handle it. And right now, the answer is we do not know.
Hold on. We do not know. It say null and void. Oh, yeah. His ass need to go.
24/7 protect.
Booking.com has all
He
kinds
needs
of
to
stays
go.
because a city hotel is right for some.
Especially if he get hit with some of these charges that they treason, espionage, all of that. Oh, yeah. Get your ass on up in there.
What just unfolded in Manhattan has sent shockwaves through political and financial circles alike. In a single day, District Attorney Alvin Bragg unsealed 47 indictments tied to Trump associates. Even Warren Buffett, a figure famously reluctant to wade into political prosecutions, issued a statement that rattled Wall Street. This is no longer a story about isolated misconduct. What's emerging instead is a tightly connected network of alleged financial wrongdoing, far more extensive than most people ever suspected. And what's been happening out of public view makes this even more explosive.
Okay, so when I made mention to somebody who said, oh, this can't be true because the news hadn't covered it. I don't know why the news ain't covered it, but it is going down behind the scenes. Documents have been unsealed. And that's why the old person, Slaughter, mad at Jack Smith for his movement to get it unveiled, unsealed. Covers are off. Jack Smith is not playing. Okay? He done too much for a house arrest. Oh, hell yeah. Ankle bracelet. What, there ain't one that'll fit it. Don't he got them big ass ankles? Don't he got that fluid and shit that won't go nowhere? Yeah, he know he on his way up out of here with them elephant ass ankles. Oh yeah.
Even more explosive. Since taking office, what's emerging instead is a tightly connected network of alleged financial wrongdoing, far more extensive than most people ever suspected. And what's been happening out of public view makes this even more explosive. Since taking office in January 2022, Alvin Bragg has carried the label of a reform-minded prosecutor. He was expected to prioritize violent crime and show leniency on lower-level offenses. For months, critics accused him of being weak, of allowing serious cases to slip through the cracks. Frustration wasn't limited to Republicans. Even members of his own party voiced concerns. But here's the twist. While the public assumed the Trump investigation had stalled, Bragg was quietly assembling something far bigger beneath the surface. Here's what's really unfolding behind these indictments. What began 3 years ago as a tightly focused probe into hush money payments has now exploded into something far larger. Federal facilities are tightening security. Secret Service teams are shifting into high alert. Major investment firms are holding emergency calls. All of this chaos stems from prosecutors uncovering what they describe as an unprecedented financial fraud operation in U.S. history. And at the center of it all, Trump's closest allies from the heart of his business empire. The timing could hardly be more damaging for Trump. Instead of locking in his 2025 priorities and laying the groundwork for a return to the White House, he's facing a legal firestorm. And this is where it takes a sharp turn. Investigators didn't stop at campaign finance issues. They traced offshore accounts, complex shell corporations, and financial paths allegedly connected to sanctioned Russian oligarchs. Records point to long-running tax schemes stretching back decades. Longtime loyalists, figures tied to Trump since the 1980s, are now being escorted out of luxury Park Avenue residences in full public view. Let's pause and be clear about one thing. These are not fringe players or loosely connected names. These are insiders, individuals who know the inner workings of the Trump organization better than almost anyone. Turning back to the investigation itself, reports surfacing around these are not fringe players or loosely connected names. These are tied to Trump since the 1980s are now being escorted out of luxury Park Avenue residences in full public view. Let's pause and be clear about one thing. These are not fringe players or loosely connected names. These are insiders, individuals who know the inner workings of the Trump organization better than almost anyone. Turning back to the investigation itself, reports surfacing around October 23rd revealed just how rattled Trump's legal team had become. They blasted Bragg's case as a witch hunt on steroids, accusing prosecutors of blatant election interference. Those are not casual accusations. In essence, Trump's attorneys portrayed Bragg as a partisan operator, arguing the indictments were deliberately timed as Trump prepares for another run at power. And this wasn't said behind closed doors. Trump took his anger public on Truth Social, leaving no doubt that his frustration with Bragg was boiling over. The announcement rippled through Republican circles, triggering a wave of uneasy questions. If a Democratic prosecutor in solidly blue Manhattan could line up sweeping indictments against an incoming president's inner circle, what did that signal for everyone else racing to land roles in the new administration? And this isn't uncharted territory when it comes to Trump and prosecutors. History shows that enforcement pressure tends to spike the moment investigators sense weakness. When Trump or those around him expose a vulnerability or leave a trail of documents behind, prosecutors move fast. That pattern has repeated itself again and again. Look back at the Mueller investigation. Paul Manafort and Rick Gates were pulled in over undisclosed millions, bank fraud, and conspiracy charges. A full spectrum legal assault. Then came the Southern District of New York. They made it clear they had no patience for Michael Cohen's role in arranging hush money payments. Prosecutor Jeffrey Berman ensured that Michael Cohen faced real prison time, and it didn't stop there. Letitia James later took aim at the Trump organization in civil court after uncovering evidence of exaggerated asset valuations.
That's why he was mad at her.
That case ended with a staggering $454 million judgment. Even state-level prosecutors joined the effort. In Atlanta, Fani Willis drew heat for her RICO case, yet still secured multiple guilty pleas from Trump-linked figures. Now it appears Alvin Bragg is taking that same strategy and pushing it into overdrive. The pattern is hard to ignore. Loyalty offers no protection. You can defend Trump nonstop, stand by him publicly, and fight his battles. But the instant prosecutors uncover leverage, they'll either pressure you to cooperate or move straight to charges. So how did these associates land squarely in Bragg's sights? It all comes down to money, an enormous amount of it. According to an October 26 Politico report, investigators uncovered roughly 200 shell companies spread across 7 different countries. These entities weren't
Shell. Oh, there goes Shell again. At Venezuela, oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. The truth is coming out. Come out wherever you are. Yeah, the truth is coming out. Come out. Come out. Come out. Come out. Come on. Come on out, truth. Yeah. Come on out. That all. Venezuela now it was a drug drugs? Or what? Do you have a drugstore? Or do you have all? What you got, Trump? Let's go. Y'all hit the like button. This tea is hot, baby. Let's go.
And pushing it into overdrive. The pattern is hard to ignore. Loyalty offers no protection. You can defend Trump nonstop, stand by him publicly, and fight his battles. But the instant prosecutors uncover leverage, they'll either pressure you to cooperate or move straight to charges. So how did these associates land squarely in Bragg's sights? It all comes down to money, an enormous amount of it. According to an October 26 Politico report,
telling the truth,
investigators uncovered roughly 200 shell companies spread across 7 different countries.
7?
These entities weren't operating legitimate businesses. Their sole purpose was to move cash, conceal.
So they was fake too? Ooh, Letitia, I know he wanted you, boo-boo. Did you so fake all, fake share, fake accounts, you just fake. You fake. Hi, Danita, thank you. You just fake and fat and fake. Yes, indeed. It's law and order. You got to follow the law, just like everybody else, in that order. Yeah. Yes, sir. They coming for you and your partners in crime. Oh, absolutely. I mean, did you find any of the stash FinFin? Because I thought this was about FinFin. I thought that's why you was blowing up them boats. You ain't said shit about no drugs since you done took over. And we're not going to act like you didn't know that they were sitting on majority of the all. Yeah. So if you had these old fake shell accounts, yeah, to invest. See, this is why it's coming out. It is coming out. This is why you allegedly had Epstein removed, because he knew your business. Let's be clear. He knew your business. He knew you was broke, busted, and disgusted. He knew that you was embezzling, see, and that's why he threatened you. He dangled a little carrot over your head and gave you a certain amount of time. You was the dog that did not bite, that had not bitten at that time. You was a dog. That's why your ass was crawling around, on all fours and shit at the beginning of this lie. Bow wow wow, yippee yo, yippee yeah, yeah. You was the dog. Use the dog that Epstein was talking about, and he gave you a deadline. He blackmailed you. And you hate blackmail. You hate to be blackmailed. Yes, sir. So that's what made you become an informant. You snitched on half of the organized crime. Yes, sir. Because he knew that you was broke. And he knew that you was embezzling. So you told on him right before the election, the first go round. And you allegedly had him unalive. Now, I ain't too sure that he gone. I'm going to tell you that now. I ain't too sure of it. And it's interesting that his brother is asking for an autopsy. Autopsy. Yeah. He wants an autopsy. Like, dig him up out the ground and let them examine his body. He want him to be dug up and looked at more closely. They say there's bodies buried Mar-a-Lago. If the feds take over that property and start digging up shit up out the ground. Ain't no telling what they find. Hello, hello. He wants an autopsy. So either it's gonna pull up and they gonna find ain't nothing there. Roll with me. Are y'all with me? Either he ain't gonna be there, or they gonna find something more than him taking his own life. So they pulling your card. They fucking with you. Oh yeah, they fucking with you. Trump to the dump. They are ucking with you. Let me be the first one to tell you if ain't nobody told you. Yes, sir, because they keep saying your ass is cornered. It's like, it is so fascinating that they keep saying you don't have nowhere to go. You cornered. Why they keep saying that? They setting your ass up. Oh, wow. He want the body pulled up. Oh, my. Oh, my. My. Let's go, y'all. Get the lights up.
Now it appears Alvin Bragg is taking that same strategy and pushing it into overdrive. The pattern is hard to ignore. Loyalty offers no protection. You can defend Trump nonstop, stand by him publicly, and fight his
Listen
battles.
what you good here.
But the instant prosecutors uncover leverage, they'll either pressure you to cooperate or move straight to charges. So how did these associates land squarely in Bragg's sights? It all comes down to money, an enormous amount of it. According to an October 26 Politico report, investigators uncovered roughly 200 shell companies spread across 7 different countries. These entities weren't operating legitimate businesses. Their sole purpose was to move cash, conceal assets, and sidestep tax obligations. Here's how the operation allegedly worked. Executives tied to the Trump organization would overstate property values when applying for loans, then undervalue those same assets for tax filings.
So the Trump.
But that was only the surface layer.
The Trump
Investigators
deal.
also found bogus consulting contracts, non-existent employees, and invoices for work that was never performed. Funds reportedly moved through Delaware-based LLC.
Now, Trump, was you doing this also through Charlie Kirk's Turning Point? Huh? Did you have an insider that has been with you since 2012 or before? Not before, before. Did you have somebody working on the inside in Turning Point in USA where you was sending in money, taking money out? Yeah. Embezzling through this man's company, and he had no idea because he trusted the people that you had in place that he never knew you put there on purpose. Are you telling me that you was funneling money through Turning Point in the very minute he began to figure out there's some shaky, funky shit going on? Where this money come from and where is it going? The minute he started telling you something's going on with Israel, back out and leave these folk alone. Pause on everything that you're doing and do not bomb Iran. You said, get out, get out, get out, get out. This little motherfucker's smarter than I ever imagined. Then you sick BB net and Yahoo on him, and he turned him down too. Y'all said, oh shit, oh shit, something really is about to explode if we don't get his ass up out of here. Then all of a sudden, y'all arranged for him to be in Utah. Oh, she said normally it don't move that quick. He normally it takes appointments or arrangements weeks in advance. But this was set up a couple of days. A couple of days. Yes, he was out of order because that's not his normal protocol. I wonder who pushed that through for Charlie Kirk, who set him up to be there. Maybe them people that was in Fort Nacogdoches. How you doing? That place. Yeah, maybe they set it up so that they could take him out. Yes, sir, because he figured out that somebody he really did trust, got wind of it, and they was set up to embezzle money right up under his nose. Right up under his nose. And they took him out. My. You was funneling money through Charlie Kirk's, allegedly. Auntie Fee. Are you looking at me like you bitch? You done figured it out. Is he giving me the eye, y'all? Is he giving me the eye like you, bitch? You did say black folks are really smart. You remember you said that? I caught it on tape. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then we hear, oh, the lights up now. Let me go on, let y'all hear this one over here. I forgot I stopped it. Let me bring this on home. I ain't no reverend. Evangelist Auntie Fee was trying to let y'all hear earlier.
There's a guy by the name
Let me
of
bring
Andrew
this
Cole.
on home for you. Y'all ready for me to bring it on home? It's time for me to connect them dots. Woo, y'all ready? Are y'all ready? Hit the like button. Give me a 1 in the comment section if you're ready for us to connect these dots. Well, now we understand why Erica Kirk never could drop a tear. She couldn't drop one because she was never really there for him. She was there because Trump was there. Yeah, her daddy, who's probably invested offshore just like Trump. Hello? Sacrificed his daughter and her mama too. They put her little pretty ass to work long time ago. Hello? That's why she laid her head on his chest like this is my big daddy. Y'all ready? Let's listen with our good ear. Let's go.
Kovacs. Andrew Kovac is the executive, one of the executives and the spokesman for Turning Point USA. Now, Kovac, he basically sends a message to a YouTuber, some random YouTuber. I've never heard of him. This is where it gets weird. The guy gets a message. He wasn't supposed to disclose what Andrew said or what he sent to him. He accidentally discloses this message from Andrew, but the fact that he shows all this showing that Erica Kirk, they're trying to figure out her whereabouts on September 8th. And there's reports of her being seen at Fort Huachuca. She sends a picture saying, hey, I couldn't have been there because I'm with my kids. Sends a screenshot. Mind you, we've never seen Erica Kirk's kids. Puts her finger over the kid's face, so we can't see their face. We don't know what the kids look like. She puts her finger over the picture and sends it, and this is what Andrew sent to the random YouTuber. So, Fort Huachuca, it's the home, they call this the home of military intelligence. Now, this place, it's a massive military...
The home of what? Let's go.
military base where they do a lot of training, over 70,000 acres. So I think that the reason she was there is because of a few things. For one, her mom, Lori Fronsvie. So her company, E3 Tech Group, specializes in a very particular type of weaponry. This place, Fort Huachuca, specializes in
They do what? They specialize. Specialize in what?
electrical warfare. I've also looked into it, and this place is greatly known for being the largest unmanned aircraft systems training facility, aka no drone.
No. No.
Now, what did I say that Charlie Kirk was killed by?
A fucking drone.
A drone.
I'm done with this shit.
Did y'all listen with your good ear? Y'all need to hear it one more time for the one time. Warfare.
There's a guy by the name of Andrew Kovacs. Andrew Kovac is the executive, one of the executives and the spokesman for Turning Point USA. Now, Kovac, he basically sent a message to a YouTuber, some random YouTuber. I've never heard of him. This is where it gets weird. The guy gets a message. He wasn't supposed to disclose what Andrew said or what he sent to him. He accidentally discloses this message from Andrew, but the fact that he shows all this showing that Erica Kirk, they're trying to figure out her whereabouts on September 8th. And there's reports of her being seen at Fort Huachuca. She sends a picture saying, hey, I couldn't have been there because I'm with my kids. Sends a screenshot. Mind you, we've never seen Erica Kirk's kids. Puts her finger over the kid's face, so we can't see their face. We don't know what the kids look like. She puts her finger over the picture and sends it, and this is what Andrew sent to the random YouTuber. So
they gonna believe me one day, Specs.
The home, they call this the home of military intelligence. Now, this place, it's a massive military base where they do a lot of training, over 70,000 acres. So I think
Dang, do y'all remember?
the reason she was
Hold
there,
on, do y'all remember that picture of Erica Kirk and all them people? I don't know. And I said, who is this guy? This guy looked familiar. He was standing next to her in the back, standing just like that military guy.
For Turning Point USA. Now, Kovac, he basically sends a message to a YouTuber, some random YouTuber. I've never heard of him. This is where it gets weird. The guy gets a message. He wasn't supposed to disclose what Andrew said or what he sent to him. He accidentally discloses this message.
Yeah, he's sending information out just in case something happened to him. He would have already sent him something to research.
That he shows all this showing that Erica Kirk, they're trying to figure out her whereabouts on September 8th. And there's reports of her being seen at Fort Huachuca. She sends a picture saying, hey, I couldn't have been there because I'm with my kids. Sends a screenshot. Mind you, we've never seen Erica Kirk's kids. Puts her finger over the kid's face, so we can't see their face. We don't know what the kids look like. She puts her finger over the picture and sends it, and this is what Andrew sent to the random YouTuber. So, Fort Huachuca, it's the home, they call this the home of military intelligence. Now, this place, it's a massive military base where they do a lot of training.
That guy. This guy right here. I'm going to have to go back to the picture, but there was a guy in the picture with her with all of them kids, Romania kids, that just kind of popped up. Candace brought it up too, but I had showed y'all those kids before. And I said, oh, who is this guy's in the back? Who is he? What is he? And I said, oh, but he looked familiar. Now, it looked like he may have been a darker, but he had the same type look, same type stance. I'm going to have to go back and look at it. But he was a part of her with Romania.
Over 70,000 acres. So I think that the reason she was there is because of a few things. For one, her mom, Lori Fronsvie.
Her mom. So when I said she was sold out by her dad who worked for Trump and her mom was military. She in deep, ain't she?
So her company, E3 Tech Group, specializes in a very particular type of weaponry. This place, Fort Huachuca, specializes in electrical warfare. I've also looked into it, and this place is greatly known for being the largest unmanned aircraft systems training facility, aka no drones. Now, what did I say that Charlie Kirk was killed by?
A fucking drone.
A drone.
Whew. Okay, y'all. Yes, indeed. T-Sippers, what y'all think? Huh? What y'all think? Trump gang, Gestapo, fraud, associate. So let's get back where we was. And you know, I'm not gonna mix that. I'm gonna leave that for now. Hey y'all, my mouth is wide open. Yeah, Dee. Wide open. It's like, damn. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Now, let's go back. Can we think back? Ooh! Y'all, this is running into the other live that's supposed to be coming up next. Because what did that guy, I can't think of his name. He was supposed to be over security. And he said that he was told, look at his face. He looking like, you bitch. You, hold on. Let me change it. You black itch. And that may be true, but make sure you put it in all caps. Put. Can you make it Miss Black? I mean Miss. Yeah, Miss. Black bitch. I mean, if we gonna call some names, make sure you hey, yeah, put Miss on there now. No, that's not be disrespectful. Nasty work. Absolutely. He's saying you itch. Now, when Candace did her little research, I'm wilding. And she said that guy who was supposed to be over security, he sit there and told on himself, you know, he was in, and he said that he was told he couldn't do drones. He couldn't fly drones. Ain't that what he said? Could he not fly drones because they was going to be flying drones to take out Charlie? You talking about Liberty? I think Liberty was a part of the child trafficking. I think nothing but snakes. Yeah, that Farwell. I have it set up for us to listen to that because that guy here, he mentioned Michael Cohen. Yeah, but hold up. Yeah, that guy that said that, I can't think of his name. Hold on. Who said that he could not use a throne. This cat.
Looking for tax help?
Now there are
Why was he told? Because remember they said the security, everything kind of changed.
You were on the stage with Charlie Kirk as the head of his contracted security detail on September 10th when he was assassinated. You know I'm not a combative interviewer. I do have some tough questions. It's been 2 months since this tragedy, and
what's his name?
A lot of unanswered questions.
I just need his
people
name.
Are starving for some answers. I know a lot of people are going to be very interested in what you have to say.
There's so much out there, and there's so much out there that's not true.
Say everyone in the pros are, and I don't say it, acts that way. But I got text about you, Megan.
What's that man's name?
You know, I've been really quiet about this. It's a real shame, but it just got to be so much that I just did not trust my own eyes, ears, what I was reading, what I was watching. I think a lot of people have
not him, the other guy.
sensationalized this.
Well, somebody has fabricated a monstrous big lie that Israel had something to do with Charlie Kirk's horrific murder.
Just gritty surveillance footage, fake text messages, and a transgender furry.
Lie.
In less than 36 hours.
Okay. Let me go this way, so I won't be spinning my wheels trying to get to what I'm trying to get y'all to remember. Him. And as far as the guy, he's just he's the Lee Harvey Oswald. He's just the person that probably, I'm gonna be honest, who probably thought that he was being hired, like the little old white man who said that he was, I'm the shooter, and he wasn't. KOVA. See. And he probably thought he had an acting gig and thought he was going to be a crisis actor. He probably still think he acting. I don't think he be sitting in the jail every day. Hold on. That ain't it. KOVACS. Yeah, he's scapegoat. Why that's not pulling up? KOVACS. Yeah, let me go back to the other way I was looking, because that didn't pull up what I was looking for. What's his first name? Do you know? Yeah, actor. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why he be sitting there looking all crazy. That's why he be sitting there looking all like, what? Just like the old guy. And then when he told somebody that he was acting, or somebody told him that they would pay him, and he don't know who paid him.
You were hacked. You're telling me it's real. Someone's been watching and listening through you.
Andrew, okay.
You to find them and destroy them. Are you in?
Charlie and his family. Brian Harpole, a highly decorated lawn.
Okay, let's go. We're here now. I wasn't planning on this.
Welcome to the show.
Brian, that's his name, Brian Rack. Let's hear his name, y'all. Somebody write his name down. Hold on.
Very heavy interview today. And,
Hold on. Oh, dang, this is a long interview. I just want the part where he said about the drone. Brian who? Let me put the closed caption up. I need his name.
Brian Harpole.
Brian Harpole. There you go. Brian Harpole. No, was talking to Auntie Fee. What you mean? What I miss? Brian Harpole. Can somebody type that in? Brian Harpole. The harp. Brian Harpole. I don't know what y'all talking about. Let me go here. Brian Harpole. Hold on. I need to be able to remember this when I need to. Brian. Because he said he was told that he could not use the drone. Who told you that? Hold on, y'all. I'm gonna have to go here. Y'all know once I start, I hate to research with y'all. I didn't do it ahead of time, so I'm here now. And I gotta do it like this, so y'all gonna have to go along with me. Harpole. Okay, hold on. One more, yeah, Harpole. Thank you, Ming.
Join Genesis Health Clubs for $0 today. Plus, get $400 worth of personal training. Train here.
Let's go.
What is up, guys? California Phantom here to talk about the explosive interview with the Sean Ryan show guest Brian Harpole. For any of you who've missed the interview that Sean Ryan did with Brian Harpole, I highly recommend you see it. I believe it's free on YouTube, but it's certainly free on Spotify. So go ahead and check that out now. Now, I don't mean to be a conspiracy theorist.
Okay, so do we just want to watch the video, the interview? Yeah, I don't want to hear nobody's take. But that's a long video. I mean, interview. Hold on. I don't want to hear nobody's take on it. Not right now. Mm-hmm. Sorry, y'all having to research with me. But just so you know, this is how it goes.
You've seen other people get fit and healthy with Body. Now it's your turn to get amazing results. Body has over 140 structured home
Let's
workout
see what
programs
this,
that have
if
created
this is
thousands of
it.
success stories. And now Body's just $19 a month with your first week free. Go to bodywithanI.com.
Mm-mm. They didn't have jurisdiction. Mm-mm. That ain't it either. Hold on. This is when his partners was lying, trying to cover. Bald headed one, and then this one. But that's Boyer, ain't it? This ain't what I'm looking for. Hold on. I hate to have to put that whole thing on. Yeah, you lying. Stop lying. Stop covering. Yeah, we finna get into it. Where is him with the I want the part where he talked about drones were let's see this one. So yeah, just so you know, this is what I go through when I do research. That's why I be adamant about supporting the platform.
Welcome back to Trigger Smart. Something caught my attention, and I was thinking about it, and then one of you sent me a very interesting document. So let's talk about the drones at UVU. Could a drone have prevented Charlie Kirk from getting assassinated? Possibly, because they would have seen someone on the roof. They even could have seen him getting on the roof before he took a shot. They could have had, theoretically, plenty of time to pull Charlie down. They don't necessarily have to stop the shooter. They could just say, oh, someone's on the roof, get Charlie out of there. Boom, they're gone, right? So that could have saved his life for sure. Now, this new document that I'm seeing, if it is correct, and if it is true, which it appears to be, it is from uvu.edu, from their policies. This is their official drone policy. But first,
Trump
I want to remind you
go away and hide
what
himself.
Brian Harple was saying about the drones
no purpose.
and why they didn't use them.
Impeachment will take too long.
You know, it's a risk assessment when we come in. That's why we get there. That's why we start doing the advance so early. We walk it. You know, we build it ourselves.
They walk it. They build it themselves. They get there early. Now, from what he said, I believe it was the 24th of the month previous, so they had at least 2 weeks.
And so initially, I spent thousands of dollars on drones last year, and got the guy's license. But
that's a flex.
If the area lies in the Provo, Utah airspace,
it was just about to get good, wasn't it? It was just about to get good.
I can't fly.
He's saying if it's in Provo, Utah airspace, he cannot fly for whatever reason. Okay.
That's a 107B. We can't break the rules. Right? And then you had secondary restrictions.
Okay.
That's a 107B. We can't break the rules.
He's saying if it's in Provo, Utah airspace.
Are y'all listening? What y'all good here?
He's saying if it's in Provo, Utah airspace, he cannot fly for whatever reason. Okay.
That's a 107B. We can't break the rules. Right? And then you had secondary restrictions, probably due to heavy foot traffic for the school. But I can't go in and break the rules. There's laws for a reason. And so now the school could have flown drones, the PD, but they didn't have them.
Military could have too.
The PD did not have drones.
Right. And then but Orem PD has a drone unit active.
So he just said they don't have drones. Now he's saying they do have drones.
Professional, and that police department, I will tell you right now, is awesome. They get it. They were there. They helped both on the soft side and the hard side. And so I started asking questions like, "Do you guys have a drone unit?" Yeah, good. Do you have an MOU or a mutual aid agreement with the school? And they're like, yeah. I said, did they call you and ask for assistance? No.
Did he call them and ask for assistance? No. He could have called just like the PD could have called. There's no reason he should have other people doing the work he gets paid to
Well,
do.
why he didn't clear that in the
Why wouldn't
beginning?
you call?
Why you didn't clear that in the beginning?
There's no reason he should have other people doing the work he gets paid to do.
Why wouldn't you call? We didn't get asked. And then so table the drones, which would have been awesome. Absolutely. I believe in them, but I can't break the law to do it.
So he can't break the law, but UVU and the PD apparently can fly there. So I don't know what special
The military can as well.
permission they would have different than
Because they've already said that there was military helicopters and planes flying around at that time. And we are not going to forget the guy in the all black on the roof.
Do it.
So he can't break the law, but UVU and the PD apparently can fly there. So I don't know what special permission they would have different than anyone else. But when you get your Part 107, you go through the same things as everyone else. The drone has to be legal. You have to know how to fly it legally. You have to have your license. You have to have the drone licensed. And then you can't fly in certain areas, and you can get permission to fly in certain areas.
The drones would have been awesome, but I can't break the law. They could have used them. They chose not to.
And the rooftops were supposed to be covered from the police drones.
PD said I got you covered.
They said I got you covered. He did not verify.
So the police said that they got him covered. This was a military thing. Erica Kirk and her family and them, right? Yeah, I'm sorry, sir. And you're involved too. You should have known better. You head of security? Security! You head of security? You head of security. You spent thousands on drones. You wasn't able to utilize it because the police, yeah, okay. I ain't gonna be here long, just to prove the point. It was a drone. It was a drone. That's why the gun that they send, oh boy, with a shot, game over, Cecilia. That's why the gun that they said was used, and they keep doing those, tests with that gun. His head would have been off. Blood would have been everywhere. It would have been everywhere.
But when you get your Part 107, you go.
But that's Super Net, Super Shield, Valhalla.
But UVU and the PD apparently can fly there.
I'm gonna end on Valhalla.
So I don't know what special permission they would have different than anyone else. But when you get your Part 107, you go through the same things as everyone else. The drone has to be legal. You have to know how to fly it legally. You have to have your license. You have to have the drone licensed. And then you can't fly in certain areas, and you can get permission to fly in certain areas.
The drones would have been awesome, but I can't break the law. They could have used them. They chose not to.
And the rooftops were supposed to be covered from the police drones.
PD said I got you covered.
They said I got you covered. He did not verify.
Got you covered. It'd be great if that chief of police would have put that fucking drone up.
We'd have had it. Or I'd have flown that drone up his ass if we could have had one.
And you have 3,000 other threats that you're looking at. The rooftops supposedly being covered by the police. Maybe it would have been a good idea to confirm that the police had the drones.
There you go.
So this is a drone thing. This is a death by drone. And so if it's a unaliving death, we can say death by drone, then that means y'all already know that Tyler Robinson didn't do it. But as long as they sticking to that type of gun that they held, even that don't make sense. But they know it's by drone. And if it's by drone and security didn't have it, then that means the police is involved. And if not, it's the military. And if it's the military, then you know why Erica was in, what is it, Fort Hachuka, yeah, the day before, signing off the hit.
So now Sean Ryan said it, and he's trying to be polite. You know, he has the guest there. He doesn't want to have a big confrontation with the guest.
His ass if we could have had one.
And you have 3,000 other threats that you're looking at. The rooftop supposedly being covered by the police. Maybe it would have been a good idea to confirm that the police had the drones.
There you go. So now Sean Ryan said it, and he's trying to be polite. You know, he has the guest there. He doesn't want to have a big confrontation with the guest. But you have two CIA guys here talking to each other, basically trying to clear the security team's name, based on what I've seen. This was less of an interview and more of a let's clear the name of the security team, is what I get from this. But
Your money on the military.
he says it.
The military and her mama.
To verify yourself. Now, he's saying it nicely.
Which would be Trump.
I feel like it was a major ball dropped, and that's why Charlie's gone.
Which would be CIA.
But, I mean, you are talking to the chief of police. You would think that he would have the fucking drones up.
Okay, so basically he's saying UVU dropped the ball, the police dropped the ball, he couldn't get permission, or he didn't want to break the law. Now, nowhere in this did he say he actually tried to get permission for them to fly drones. I didn't hear him say that anywhere. So now let's look at the actual policy. All right, so now we are over here at policy.uvu.edu, and if you go to uvu.edu, you'll see this is Utah Valley University. So we're on the policy subdomain. All right, so we look in here. We have Utah Valley University policies and procedures. This is for unmanned aircrafts, right? Drones. And this was created back in 2018. So there's been plenty of time for this to be established and be used there. Now, if this is the latest one, I don't know. There could be another one after this. So if someone else has a newer one, I'd love to see it. But according to this, I'm going to summarize it. But this shows everything you need to know. Who can do it, how to do it, what the penalties are if you don't do it correctly, and how to go about it, right? This has everything. So now let's look at a summary of this. So I put in this exact document, drone authorization requirements, and then I said they had 2 weeks to actually do this. Is that enough? Whether Charlie Kirk's security team could have legally flown a drone over UVU rooftops. UVU strictly prohibits any unauthorized drone flights on university property. However, authorized operation is allowed if the operator completes UVU's required approval process. Here's the process. Submit a request of authorization to UVU Risk Management. Provide a certificate of insurance. Consult with the safety coordinator to verify FAA compliance. Possess FAA credentials. Part 107 license. He said they all had licenses. Receive a signed UVU flight authorization document and notify UVU police before flight. These are all things that they could have done. The question is, did they do it? Did they actually submit a request to fly drones there? Now, he said they're super thorough. They go there early. They get on the ground. They build stuff themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Did they take the time to build a request for authorization for a drone? Operators must also register the drone. That's kind of default if you have a drone. Follow federal regulations and ensure safety and privacy. Yes. So that would be easy. So it says, yes, a private security team could legally obtain permission to fly a drone over the rooftops, but only if they completed the full authorization process in advance. So I was thinking, well, how much in advance, right? How far in advance does this have to happen? So whether 2 weeks would have been enough time for the security team. Nothing in the policy gives a minimum time requirement, but here's some like justifications, right? Here's like some rough definitions of times that it could possibly take. Submit a request for authorization, up to 48 hours. Certificate of insurance showing that, maybe 3 days. FAA requirements, if already Part 107 certified, it's immediate. Okay? Now if there's any special waivers, which is pretty rare for this kind of situation, that could possibly cause delays, but it's saying immediate to several days. Would several days be more than 2 weeks? I don't know, but he didn't say anything about even trying to get any of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Risk management review, up to 7 days. So the conclusion, yes, 2 weeks is a fully realistic and generally sufficient time frame to obtain UVU drone authorization. This assumes the team already had Part 107, which Brian clearly said they did. Insurance paperwork was ready. It would have to be for his business and the way he operates. The request was submitted promptly. I don't know. Was the request submitted at all is the question. And no complex FAA waivers. So according to UVU policy 705, drone operations on campus are strictly prohibited without prior authorization and require a multi-step process involving all these different things, okay? Given the structure of these requirements,
Now the bullet couldn't have been the same because they said it would have took his head off.
Documentation could realistically complete the process in 2 weeks, as none of the policy steps inherently require long lead times. So that brings us to the big question. Did they officially request to get permission to fly their drones at UVU?
Oh yeah, no, it didn't come.
Process. Now, if they were thorough, if they build everything themselves and they're on the ground early, a little bit more than 2 weeks early, they would have had plenty of time to ask how they can get a drone in there, their drone in there, and get this permission according to this documentation. Now, if there's something different, if you know something,
that's why they cleaned up the crime scene so early.
Out there, something, let me know if this is false. If this document doesn't apply,
they never even looked
but as
for
it sits right now with this,
the bullets.
It looks like they could have,
did they?
But they didn't. So I really want to know: did they actually do that? Now, maybe a FOIA request or something.
And right now, I'm saying Mikey McCoy would be the one who set off or made some type of whatever signal, the button to push or something. I was saying it was something in the phone. I don't know what he did, but the way he had that phone pointed, I don't know. But the way he, once the pop went off, the way he bounced, never stopped, never looked back, never nothing. Never nothing. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. I'm finna get ready to get up out of here on this one. I have to come back, but hold on. Is this the one? That's not the one I was on. Hold on. That one either. Did I just mess it up? I was right where I needed to be. Now I gotta find it again. Hold on. The tea is hot, Trump. The blue-eyed devil show is funneling money, and was funneling it through Turning Point. Oh yeah, you all up in there. And Erica, dirty trifling ass. Ooh. Dang it, where was it? Oh my goodness. I was right where I needed to be. God dang it, what did I say? What did I say I'm going to end it on? Dang, now I'm here. I can't remember what I... Oh, right here. Valhalla. Now, message unavailable. Deleted by the owner or hidden for privacy. You lying to me. God dang. God dang. You are lying to me. I wondered, did they know I was coming? Because I swear I saw it when I came over here earlier. They must have just did that, baby. They must have just did that. Wow. Wow. I was finna take you to Valhalla. Oh, wow. Because it came out. I'm going to tell you, it was one of them little reenactments. And it showed Epstein and Charlie Kirk coming through a door. And some of the people was there. That it's like they was maybe have been at a hospital. I'm gonna say it like that, like a mental crazy ward. And it shows some Hollywood people, show Diddy. And then at the end, when he kept walking, he saw Erica Kirk, and she said, "What are you doing here?" And it was Valhalla. It was Valhalla. Yeah. And he saw her, and he walked towards her, and he kind of left the person who was supposed to have been Epstein, and he kept walking like in shock to see her there. And she looked up and saw him and said, "What are you doing here?" Yep. And it was removed. What is this? Oh, okay. Oh no, let me go out. Oh yeah, this I'm gonna end on this one, y'all. I've been on here 3 hours and 35 minutes. Hold on. Okay, now let me move this down so y'all can see. Hold on. There's some kooky shit going on. Okay. It's some kooky ooky shit going on. Y'all ready? I don't want that sound. I came with that sound. What y'all think? Lord have mercy. The Epstein files will tell a lot about who Trump really is. Oh, yes, it will. Yeah, I gotta go eat. What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? Elon. Demonic. I don't know what that COBW is. I don't know what that is. Okay, y'all, I'll be back. I will be. Hold on. Let me make sure they out. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah, Let me find a protective shield. Let me go back the way we. What do y'all think? That's some deep. Drones. 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 Hold on, let me see.
Does your construction company's hiring process look a lot like this? You watch a lot of DIY TikToks.
There were no drones, but then somebody earlier that day flew a drone up. We didn't know where it came from, and we're like, what's the deal with this? I'd have thrown that drone up his ass.
What? What did you just say?
Everyone, welcome to the Behavioral Arts. My name is Spidey.
Somebody threw one up.
My certifications in criminal interrogation, body language analysis, and my experience as a...
There were no drones, but then somebody earlier that day flew a drone up. We didn't know where it came from, and we're like, what's the deal with this? I'd have thrown that drone up his ass if we could have had it.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Behavioral Arts. My name is Spidey, and I use my degree in sociology and psychology, my certifications in criminal interrogation, body language analysis, and my experience as an award-winning mentalist to teach people behavioral analysis and practical psychology on stages and television shows all over the world. Earlier this week on the Sean Ryan show, Charlie Kirk's head of security, Brian Harple, made an appearance that instantly went viral and generated a record-breaking number of requests for an analysis. The interview divided viewers straight down the middle. Some people saw a man struggling through a difficult story, while others saw red flags all over his delivery. In this video, we're breaking down his noticeable shifts in confidence, depending on the topic.
Did he say somebody threw up a drone out of nowhere? When did you see it? And how did you know it? Thank you for the
There
flow.
were no drones, but then somebody earlier that day flew a drone up. We didn't know where it came from, and we're like, what's the deal with this? I'd have thrown that drone up his ass if we could have had it.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Behavioral Arts. My name is Spidey, and I use my degree in sociology and psychology, my certifications in criminal interrogation and body language analysis, and my experience as an award-winning mentalist to teach people behavioral analysis and practical psychology on stages and television shows all over the world. Earlier this week on the Sean Ryan show, Charlie Kirk's head of security, Brian Harple, made an appearance that instantly went viral and generated a record-breaking number of requests for an analysis. The interview divided viewers straight down the middle. Some people saw a man struggling through a difficult story, while others saw red flags all over his delivery. In this video, we're breaking down his noticeable shifts in confidence, depending on the topic, along with a few things he said that really stand out once they're put in context. What do his body language, facial expressions, and word choice actually reveal? Let's dive right in.
And afterwards, we went to dinner, and he was just eating sushi, and we were laughing, and it was just these goofy things, like you were sitting around a table in high school with a bunch of guys that you were cutting it up with, and I just remember he was like, he really loved the sushi, and he was like, Brian, you gonna eat that? And I was like, no, and he just starts eating it off my plate, and I'm like, this is, yeah, and it's just like, man, it was cool, you know.
Okay, so I wanted to start with that clip of him telling the story of him and Charlie to really stress the importance, especially in this analysis, between baseline and idiosyncratic gestures. Because very often in behavioral analysis, we use the word baseline to talk about both those things, but there's an important distinction. Baseline means the behaviors that we're seeing with a person in this specific conversation. Idiosyncratic gestures means behaviors that a person does regardless of conversation. For example, when I speak, I use a lot of illustrators. I use my hands a lot. And this is because of my background as an entertainer. This is idiosyncratic for me. In other words, in any interaction at any time, I use my hands to speak. The reason it's important to distinguish between those two things in this interview is because it's likely that Brian Harple's baseline here is different from other conversations. He knows that he has a lot of difficult questions to answer here. He knows that the world is watching, so it's likely that his baseline is going to be a little more stressed than usual. But we're getting some very good baseline information right here as he's telling this story. So he sits in his chair and speaks with a pretty low tone, pretty calm. His hands are often by his side, and they come up to illustrate something. Like when he talks, how he grabs something off of his plate. But generally,
they're not up here all the time, and he's not doing big gestures very often. You'll also notice that verbal leaks are quite common for him, and we're going to see this throughout the entire interview. Verbal leaks are when somebody says mid-sentence. Some people can go hours of conversation without ever saying or. Some people say it a lot as they speak naturally, and he's one of those people. Another thing you'll notice is that in this clip, and in a lot of the clips that we're going to see, quite often, his head goes down like this as he's talking. Now, typically, when somebody doesn't do this, and all of a sudden we see this start to happen, it's a guarding gesture. Somebody's getting defensive. The chin comes down, the shoulders might come up into a position that we call turtling, because we're protecting the vital parts of the body. But in Brian Harple's case, it's happening a lot, consistently throughout the interview, regardless of topic. Another thing that we're starting to see here that's very much part of his personality baseline rather than his behavioral baseline is the importance that he places on brotherhood and friendship. So even in the way that he's talking about this story with Charlie, saying that it was like a bunch of guys in high school, and he often speaks in this kind of group or belonging to a group way, and you're going to see a lot of examples of that coming up. This is something that we pay a lot of attention to, not just in criminal profiling, but even as a mentalist on stage when I'm reading someone for entertainment. Brian is certainly someone who likes to fit in to that group that he considers his brotherhood. And if we look at him, you can tell. There's nothing about the way he dresses that stands out. There isn't this big piece that's a statement or anything like that. He has a little cross. This is, of course, a proud display of the religious group that he belongs to. So even that is a demonstration of belonging. And a lot of what he says, and we're going to see this again and again, is about how he's got this brotherhood, this group that is important to him. And by the way, this type of mentality of wanting to belong to a group is very common in fraternities, sororities, but also military and law enforcement. And he was in law enforcement for 14 years, and that type of profession appeals a lot to people who just want to be part of something, part of a brotherhood.
And so we have some correspondence with the chief of the school on that day, on Monday before Charlie was killed. And why this hadn't come out and why he won't stand up like a man and admit this, I don't know. But he's watching a bunch of men lose their careers, and he's okay with it. On Monday before, this correspondence went to Chief Long. Hello, Chief Long. I was told students have access above us. If this is true, it would be nice to either have it controlled access or allow one of my guys to be there as well, if possible. He comes back, and his last correspondence was, I got you covered.
Bullies always like to pick on the little guy because they're never expecting any resistance.
I'm gonna crush you like a bug. This bully looks like he's gonna need a little extra convincing.
Fortunately, this rock will get launched at 400 feet per second and is filled with a chemical agent that is sure to incapacitate even the biggest attacker. Go to Verna.com and see how you can beat bullies.
Hit the like button, y'all. What you apologize for, Debbie? What you do?
What else am I to do? When a command level person from an accredited police department says, I've got this area.
There were a lot of clips to choose from, but I think this is a really important one. So, to clarify, he's talking here about the chief of police of the department on campus, because the campus has a separate, dedicated police department, and he's talking about the correspondence with the chief of that department. Behaviorally, as he's talking about this, we do see quite a bit of anger coming through as he's talking about this chief of police. The first thing you'll notice is his hand gestures. Whereas usually the hands are just resting by the side and they come up like this to illustrate certain things, now we're getting this more of a downwards thump, which is very consistent with him and anger. Almost any time he talks about something that makes him angry in this interview, we start seeing these downward thumps on the arm of the chair. This is no exception. Another thing that we're seeing that's very consistent with anger and even with pre-conflict is these chin thrusts as he's talking about why the chief won't come out and admit this. Whereas this is someone who normally talks in a neutral position, sometimes even with the chin down like this. Here we're in this place where he's higher up here, and the chin is coming out like this, which is something we often see in conflict or pre-conflict. Another thing that we see is when he says, I don't know why this hasn't come out yet, we see tension in the lips. And it's coming from the tension of the chin here, because we see that bottom lip go up like that. And this is usually typical of sadness. When we're sad, universally, the chin bosses like this, creating tension in that bottom lip and making that face of sadness. But with anger, the lips thin out. And for some people, we get that bit of a rise like this as well with anger. It's hard to tell exactly what's going on with the mouth and the chin, but it's not a positive emotion. But immediately as he says that he's watching men lose their careers and he's okay with it, we see a slow blink with his eyes as he says that, and at the very same time, we see a quick eyebrow flash. So we see the eyebrows go up and he slow blinks as he says, and he's okay with it, with this little bit of a no gesture as he's saying that. So we talk about the no gesture a lot on the channel because a lot of people out there think that the moment you see someone doing this, it's instantly deception. The person's being deceptive. And there aren't any gestures that could allow you to know immediately that someone's being deceptive, least of all this. This happens in a lot of different contexts. It can happen if I'm amazed by something and I can't believe how good it is, but it can also happen in disapproval or disappointment. And here, it's something along those lines, especially because it's combined with that slow blink, which is often something that we do with irritation, that kind of slow blink, because we don't want to face an idea, we're irritated by it, so we're trying to shield away from it by blocking the eyes. And we also have the eyebrow flash at the same time, which most commonly either means emphasis, some kind of social acknowledgement, or surprise. And I think in this case, it's a quick surprise, like he can't believe how this guy is just okay with that. And he disapproves of that because he would never do something like that, which goes right back to that brotherhood mentality that he has. He's having a hard time understand how this man could just sit there and allow these other men, who are part of the brotherhood of men, to lose their careers over this. Then he shares the text exchange with the chief, and completely objectively, from an interrogation standpoint, from a critical thinking standpoint, I don't think this is a very good look for Brian, and let me tell you exactly why. If we look at the exchange, he's first mentioning that they have intel that suggests that the rooftops are not safe. If we look at the chief's response, his initial response is not to say, no problem, I'll put someone up there. He asks Brian, you want access to the roof? Like, is that what you're asking me? To which Brian responds, I was told students have access above us. If this is true, it would be nice to either have it controlled access or allow one of my guys to be there as well if possible. So he presented two options. He said either this or that. And the chief responded back saying, I got you covered. Now, Brian assumed what this means is that the chief is saying, I got you covered in the sense, I'll take care of it. I've got it covered, I'll lock it up, I'll send someone up there. But if we drop all assumptions and think very critically, that's not necessarily what the chief is saying. It's possible that I got you covered means I will allow your guys to go up there. It's not very clear. At the very least, it's not a clear answer. In interrogation or an interview, when we ask a question that has two options and the person gives a yes or a no, we immediately have the reflex to go, can you clarify, what do you mean by that? Which of those two options are you responding to? So in this case, to be very thorough, when security depends on it, the correct response would have been, I'm sorry, can you elaborate on what you mean by I got you covered? Will you be blocking these doors? Will you be sending people up there? Or are you giving me permission to send people up there? I just want to make sure that we're on the same page. To be fair and clear, if you showed me this text exchange and told me what do you think the chief means by I got you covered, I would say, I'm pretty sure he's saying he'll take care of it himself, don't worry about it. But Brian's job is to assure 100% safety. Probably isn't good enough when people's security depends on it, and I believe that someone who's very thorough and doesn't want to assume things should have asked for very specific clarity in response to this text. And there should have been a follow-up. Leading up to the event, hey, by the way, we had this conversation. Why did that have happening there? Did you block it off? Do you have men up there? Like, some kind of follow-up. When you got to the event, throw a quick glance, like you knew it was an issue, just check on it. Make sure that it was taken care of. Of course, the chief of police could have done a much better job and much more thorough job than this and made sure that this was very properly addressed. But it doesn't mean that Brian can completely wash his hands of it and say, nope, he said I got you covered, it's completely on him. We're now going to move on and look at one of the topics that has the most inconsistencies, things that flat out don't make sense in what he's saying, and that has caused a massive backfire online. But before we do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, turn those notifications on, and take a quick second.
The same for me. I did it for him, do it for me.
Of the channel.
I spent thousands of dollars on drones last year and got the guy's license, but If the area lies in the Provo, Utah airspace, I can't fly it. That's a 107B. We can't break the rules. Now, the school could have flown drones, the PD, but they didn't have them, right? And then
they didn't have
so,
them.
But Orem PD has a drone unit, active and professional, and that police department, I will tell you right now, is awesome. They get
how they awesome, and they didn't.
They helped both on the soft side
and they did not provide the protection.
And so I started asking questions like, "Do you guys have a drone unit?" Yeah, good. Do you have an MOU or a mutual aid agreement with the school? And they're like, yeah. I said, did they call you and ask for assistance? No. I'm like, why wouldn't you call?
It'd be great if that chief of police.
Did you ask this before Charlie was unallowed or after?
I'd have flown that drone.
Sound like you asked this after.
We knew there were no drones, but then somebody earlier that day flew a drone up.
Correct.
Yeah.
So actually, you probably wouldn't have confirmed because there are drones up.
We didn't know where it came from, and we're like, what's the deal with this? Now, it's not uncommon for the video team to throw a drone up and then take a quick shot, and we've had that before. Now, their drones are different because they use those little bitty ones, and so they're not covered under the requirements. And so it's like.
But you don't know. You don't know if it was a little bitty one or not. You're still making assumptions. Drop the ball.
Do I need to call a grown ass man and say, hey, are you doing your job?
Okay, so this whole drone thing, it's been driving me wild. Because if you really think critically about what he's saying, it does not make sense. But before we look at that really quickly, behaviorally, when Sean Ryan says that it would be really nice if that drone was up there, and immediately Brian responds, we would have had it. We see that exact same cluster from earlier where we get that chin up like this with that little thrust and that thinning mouth like this that goes upwards. And I think for him, this is a very serious, angry thing that happens with him. Because we're seeing it more consistently with anger than sadness. With that stare, that chin up, and that like this, it's an important thing that's getting some anger out of him. So my first question that sparked all this, that for me was a red flag, was him saying that when they got there, they saw a drone in the air, but it was one of those bitty ones that the same rules don't apply. And my first question was, you started this by saying that you spent thousands of dollars on drones. Why not get a little bitty one? If those are allowed, if different rules apply to those ones, why not get a little bitty one? That way when you go to campuses where your big ones aren't allowed, but the little bitty ones are, just use that one instead. The second thing that didn't add up to me was him saying that they are in the Provo, Utah airspace, and therefore they couldn't use their drones, but there was someone, and they don't know whose it was, using the bitty drone. Because sometimes AV, someone's trying to film it, uses the bitty drones. And what sparked my curiosity there is there airspace rules that say certain sizes are totally fine, but others aren't? So I wasn't sure, but to me, I wanted to look into this a little bit more. Does it make sense that airspace rules say these drones are fine, the bitty ones, but these ones are not? Now, looking
and that's the business that he's in.
Because there are contradicting statements out there. Some people are saying that the campus is not part of the Provo, Utah airspace, and other sources are saying that it is part of the Provo Municipal Airport's Class D airspace. And
okay, y'all, I gotta go eat. I gotta get something to eat. So, because I'm going on 4 hours and I haven't eaten. I'm gonna set. Man, I had something else planned for this evening. I'm gonna pick up here. I'm gonna set it for it's 105, 6, 7, 7:30. Yeah, because I don't want to keep listening and
rules apply. So let's put a question.
And miss my spot. So I'm gonna set it for 7:30. I don't have a time there now, and then we gonna pick up right here. We gonna pick up here, cause what I had planned was to go off into some Charlie Kirk stuff to be prepared for tomorrow. So I'll be back at 7:30. Power up. Yep, I'll be back at 7:30. Peace.